Talk Show. Recorded live.
Good evening. Just logging in to the call. Whoever's early, we want to welcome you. But we are on a little bit early just to make sure that we're here to greet everybody. Welcome, non-member. Hopefully this will be a great call for you to listen in on because we've had a lot of people with questions regarding the accepted for value process.
Reesie.
Hey, that must be our guest.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I guess I'm the guest. How are we?
It's a pleasure. We are fine, and how are you?
Oh, I'm doing marvelously well, thank you.
Oh, fabulous, fabulous. Congratulations on your event you had this weekend.
Oh, it was great. I've got some documents coming your way very soon.
Fabuloso. We like to hear that. We love
documents. You're going to love that.
Oh, yes. For all of you out there, the pen is mightier than the sword.
Well, that's if you choose to use it.
There you go. Got to pick it up.
There you go, because a lot of people have a fear of, being intimidated or, afraid to irritate somebody in power.
Say that. Say that. You are
preaching.
Yes.
Let me tell you who's got the power here, because we are the only ones that do have it.
Hey, that's what we like to hear. Well, tonight, folks, this is going to hopefully be jam-packed for you. I know this is a gentleman that I've been a part of that group for a long time, but just kind of playing the sideline.
Have you? Are we promoting the group or?
We sure can. I mean, I don't have any real, qualms with anything. We're
okay.
all family.
Well, I would prefer not to, since I have not announced to my group that I'm even on the call.
Okay, not a problem. Well, he's a fellow that's been around the internet. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, well, I have about 2,700 members on my Yahoo group, and this is what we do day in and day out. So, I mean, it's one of the most active and largest on the internet.
Wow. And we're talking strictly redemption by method or accepted for value or what?
Yes,
arena?
Yes, exactly, yes. Well, we deal with other issues as well, but predominantly it will be the accepted for value and then the new technology expressing the trust for a mortgage-type situation. And I might get into the whoop it later if people are interested, but we might want to do that at a later time. I can get into the basics of it, because the whoop it itself is how the IRS defines the Social Security trust account.
Also, this is per their delineation.
Yes, this is their specific definition for our Social Security trust account. What a lot of people misdefine or misappropriate a term. They want to call it the Treasury Direct Account, or they think it's DTC account.
Or what about the UCC Contract Trust Account?
That's actually what it falls under. That is actually one of the offices at 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue there in good old D.C.
So that is something that we need to establish then.
Right. They do handle the A4V paperwork. There are two other addresses that I can have, and I know them by memory, actually, but we can give the other addresses.
I can type stuff up here, too. So.
Okay.
If you want to shoot anything out, I can post it up here.
Okay. So,
we got a few more minutes. We're still in the early stages. We haven't hit our official start time, although we are.
Well, that's okay. I thought I'd check in a little early so we could chat for a moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is some off-the-record chat you guys get to catch in on here. For all the early, this is the early bird bonus.
Well, okay. How long do you normally go, or do you have a time frame, or did they give you a limit? I know TalkShoe a lot of times will limit these calls.
Actually, now they're doing a 2-hour limit.
Okay.
So if we stop short, that's fine too.
You want to do a Q&A session, or how do you want to approach this? You just because
I definitely want to.
You put me up on my soapbox, I can be here for hours.
Oh, I heard that. Well, we're gonna do as much as we can then.
Okay, well, that's good. And then,
but I definitely want to go with some questions, kind of some lead in to make sure we hit on certain topics.
Yeah,
but then definitely
no problem.
Open it up
Yeah, I've got kind of a preliminary that you wanted to cover.
Yeah.
And it would probably be best if you ask a question, and that way I'm not going to get off track. I don't want to because I get off on tangents because there are so many dots to connect.
Yes, I totally understand what you're saying there, and I actually do want to kind of get in as far as like the contract trust account, because I know it plays a specific role.
It very much so. Very much so.
And that's kind of been evading a lot of people in terms of, where is it, who is it, how do you set it up? Because I know one of my specific points of questioning was, do I need to go secured party creditor, yes or no? So that being the case, that entailed a whole lot of preliminary setup work,
Right.
So
because
I know it kind of falls in with that a little bit, the similar process, I'm assuming.
The UCC filing itself is really not an absolute necessity to do these processes.
But with the trust account, though, that's a different process to set that up, though, isn't it?
It's a matter of notifications to certain parties. And did I send you the 3 parties? We have to notice IRS at the UCC trust office there in D.C. We send it.
So we have preliminary notices we have to do.
Right, and I can get those to you, because I'm sure you have an email list of people, or people will request the documentation, and I would rather they do it through you.
Sure, not a problem.
So, yeah, that way you have a handle on who you're dealing with, because I know you have the church people that you're taking care of in the outreach program.
Right.
So that's predominantly why we're here, is my understanding.
Oh, yes, definitely. And, I went ahead and I have this whole Get Real experience that I kind of dabble with on the Internet. And so I said, well, let's go ahead and do a show, and that way we can have an archive, for people to reference.
That's actually very good, because this way people will be able to download the MP3.
Right.
Right. I have found that there are so many cases where people will read something and they don't understand, but if they follow along with an audio or follow up with an audio, they get a more complete understanding. It's called human communication. It doesn't work real well sometimes.
Yeah, it does have its flaws.
Yeah, that's true. And the public fool system certainly doesn't help us any in that regard.
Oh, you got my word. That's what it is.
So.
Yeah, that public fool system will get you every time, boy, I tell you.
Well, it's the kind of thing that, we really need to talk to the politicians and the boards of education about, because they're not doing us a great service. They really are not.
No, it's a little deeper than that, too, because I was actually having that conversation earlier with a gentleman, and it's really about knowing who you are. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with this introduction. This is Reesie the Realist, and I want to welcome everybody to the Get Real radio experience here on TalkShoe. We've got a great lineup for you this evening. We've got a gentleman that is just, in my opinion, definitely one of the top veterans in the Accepted for Value arena. He's got a lot of people that he's assisted. He's done a lot of discharging, and we're going to have a great conversation tonight with Mr. Fisher here. So we want to welcome you to the call, first of all.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Glad to be here.
All righty, that's fabulous. So we will have an archive of this afterwards.
Okay, I just want to let you guys know, I resisted doing these things for years, the calls or the seminars or publicizing my materials. But Reesie convinced me quite easily, actually. And a lot of it had to do with my heart and my gut, because I am I'm a very religious person. And we just kind of connected. So here I am. So this is a first for all of us, I hope.
Yes, definitely. We have to walk by our faith and spirit. It's not always about what the eye can see all the time.
There you go.
I appreciate you for that, definitely. Now, I do want to put a caveat out there, Ralph. I don't know that we particularly had this conversation, but I think I may have touched on it briefly with you over the email. But it's the concept, the way that I learned about the commercial administrative processes, or redemption by method, redemption in law, some call it, was a book. I'm sure you're familiar, Cracking the Code, the first one.
Oh, yes.
And, yeah, mine actually got stolen from me by the police, which is a whole other debacle, but it's gone. But I remember the information. I remember it well. It's what got me into all of this. And they presented it as sovereignty, like commercial sovereignty. And it had to do with making yourself what's called a secured party creditor to the United States. And for all of you that aren't aware, in 1933, when the gold standard was suspended and FDR took everybody's gold, Confiscation Act, there was no more lawful money as per, the guidelines of the Constitution. It was all supposed to be in the precious metals, gold or silver. So what happened is the people became, through the 14th Amendment, chattel property of the U.S. government, whereby backing all the obligations of the U.S. government, including their debt notes or Federal Reserve notes, which is the quote-unquote money that we're using right now, which, as we all know, is just about bottomed out and worthless at this point. We just haven't, buried the casket yet on the money. So we're the ones that's giving the value to the money, ladies and gentlemen, just in case you weren't aware of that. We are the ones that make money worth anything. It's our commercial energy, our full faith and credit via our signature. Would you pretty much agree with that, Ralph?
I do agree with that. In all actuality, your signature is what's considered a fungible commercial commodity.
And get into the fungible. That was a new word for me when you used
it. Fungible, the easiest way to give you an understanding of fungible is if you look at beans or grains of rice, one is exactly the same as the other one. And your signature very seldom changes over a period of time. So hence the fungible part.
Okay, so consistent, something consistent.
It is consistent, yes. And it has an inestimable commercial value.
Okay, that's true, like priceless.
That's right. It's priceless.
Okay, there we go. That's your commercial energy, folks. So whenever you're asked for that signature, I always try to tell people, if you have to sign something, chances are you're giving something away.
Exactly.
You're exchanging something. Okay, so you have to be very, very aware not only of when you're signing your name, but how you sign your name. I'm of the personal belief system, Ralph, that in doing so you should always reserve one's rights, maybe even without recourse, depending on the situation. Was it under duress? Were you forced to give a signature? You got to indicate these things at the time you're signing.
Exactly,
So
and it's very important that people understand. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. That if you add reservation of rights as a term behind your name, or you put in UCC 1-308, which is the UCC version of that, reservation of rights, what you're doing is you're saying, I will sign my name. I'm in partial agreement with the understanding that I am not contracting to what may be considered an adhesion contract by my signature. Right.
Yes.
Well, adhesion contract is the part that screws us up. I mean, very, 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 very quickly.
Right.
I'll give you an example. The application for a driver's license and the signature thereon creates an adhesion contract with the State Department of Motor Vehicles and every other agency in the state. And that can even be utilized in a federal court situation. Sherry Jackson Peel was a very good example of this when they prosecuted her, because they did not have what's called rem jurisdiction throughout the majority of the time frame she was in that trial, until such time as the prosecution brought forth evidence that she had not only a Social Security number, but she also had a state driver's license.
Right. The nail in the coffin there.
Nail in the coffin.
That's why, and I want to use that segue to get into another important status, subject with regard actually to status. And I was talking earlier about sovereignty, and this was introduced to me as commercial sovereignty. Okay, I want to make a very key and clear distinction here. Okay, what we are discussing with the accepted for value process is an administrative remedy in commerce.
That's true.
In commerce, you're in the commercial realm. That's the artificial, fictional world of U.S. government land. Okay, that's where you're operating. And UCC actually being an international code, actually, but each state,
it is. Yes, every
US,
country in the world has adopted a UCC.
Right. Now that used to be. Now, from what my understanding, it grew from what was called the Lex Mercatoria or the Law Merchant.
Yes.
And it evolved into the UCC code.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's make a very clear distinction here, okay? And I'm glad I have a man of the spirit here with us on the line, because you'll follow me on this. There is another form. I'm not even going to say another form. I'm going to say the true form of sovereignty, because being a secured party creditor is not being sovereign. You are still subject to and of the United States government, U.S. citizen. Let's be very clear here. Now, in terms of true organic sovereignty, that is something that you must invoke due to the fact that you have a birth certificate that handed you over as chattel property to the government. You now have to invoke your indigenous sovereignty as a flesh and blood human being on the land. Okay?
That's very true.
Let me make a very clear distinction here that sovereignty cannot be given to you in commerce. You have no sovereignty in commerce. It is important to understand that. And we're dealing with a lot of people who are teetering right now and debating the sovereignty issue and deciding what they want to do. Because for any of those who are aware, there's a lot right now on the U.S. citizen in terms of liability. We're living in a post-9/11, post-Patriot Act, post-Paperclip, Rex 84, Garden Plot, Project Megiddo. There's a lot out there that the U.S. citizen has to be concerned about. Okay, a lot. Not to mention the new UN sanctions that kicked in a couple of days ago.
Yes.
So you've got a very, very, very lot on your plate as a U.S. citizen. You know that we're hearing rumors that they're trying to disappear a bunch of people by March 1st, even. You know, as part of all these various plans that they've got.
Actually, can I?
Heard about that too?
That's all right. I'll interject. Excuse me for doing so, but
sure.
FEMA has what they call the lists.
Right.
There's a red list, there's a blue list, there's a yellow list.
That's Garden Plot.
That's Garden Plot. And there are people on the red list that are people that they consider to be the most dangerous. And when they say they are going to horizontalize somebody, that means they're going to make them disappear. They're gone for good. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean dead, because they will take you out of the country if they feel
I've heard of those jails too, yeah.
Yes, that has happened.
Which I heard too was what they were going to do with the Guantanamo folks, since Obama, with the national emergency and the executive order, took away their status as persons.
Yes,
so they don't exist anymore.
Yep, they're
people in Guantanamo.
Yeah, they're basically invisible.
So I'm figuring they're going to shut it down to make it look good politically, but these people actually probably won't be freed. They'll just be moved somewhere else under anonymity, as if they were freed or whatever. I don't know. But,
it's kind of hard for them to find a country that even wants that hot potato.
Yeah, I can imagine. And that's the thing. With people around the world who are freedom fighters, people don't know, but these are the unsung heroes that stop things from happening because of their involvement and activity and things of that nature. But just to go back to the point we're making about the sovereignty issue, this actual call is actually being brought forth because I'm a member of a church, Sovereign Church of Christ, and we have an outreach ministry, Sovereign Counselors of Law, and we assist people with various functions, legal functions, and then with this now accepted for value process, we're getting into the debt relief, getting people out of bondage of debt. Okay. Now, all of this is done U.S. citizen status. To be sovereign, you must claim your birthright again outside of your birth certificate. Now, whether or not you keep all these documents in place is your choice, but once you claim your birthright and become a real person again. Well, not even person, but a real man or woman, flesh and blood.
Flesh and blood.
Establish that fact, yes, and establish that fact. You have to realize you are, in fact, two people. You're a legal juristic citizen, and you're a real flesh and blood man or woman. And that's a key distinction that in this society is not taught to people. You are not the all-capital letter name written on the income tax form. That's not you. That's a corporate artificial entity that was created with your words of art being your surname, given name. Okay? They converted it into a corporation, or as you refer to it as the Sestake Trust with Social Security. So I just want people to be aware that there are people that have had legal challenges from doing this accepted for value and different things. Some people do it wrong. They make examples out of you, things of that nature. But to truly protect yourself from any commercial processes, and Ralph, this is something we haven't really touched on either, but one definitely wants to, in my opinion, establish themselves as a true flesh and blood sovereign before attempting to engage in these processes, on your own, because you want some legal, lawful protection. You don't want to be caught out there and have to go to some artificial process, torture, jail, whatever, because it's really not all that serious. There's some over 6 million of laws, and they're constantly reenacting these statutes and stuff for us to keep up with that we can never keep up with. It's not even realistic.
Oh, it's an impossibility.
So, yeah, and there can't
Literally,
be anything required of you, an
impossibility.
impossibility under the law. So just the fact that they put you in that situation is unlawful.
That's very true.
But to be free of that, you want to be a sovereign. So my personal suggestion is to seriously consider your sovereign status when it comes to doing these commercial processes, because it'll give you some insulation and some protection. And we at the Sovereign Church of Christ actually do offer that. The way our membership is structured, you have that protection while you're learning. And we will stand in the gap for you to cover you, so to speak, from anything that's happening out there in commerce. So just wanted to throw that in before we really get rolling here.
Okay. Can I add to that something that
Please.
you may not be aware of?
Sure.
Federal Rules of Civil Procedure 52 specifically, and it's kind of hard to find on the web, so you have to look up Texas Rules of Civil Procedure 52A. It's easier to find. If you walk into a court of law, the presumption and the assumption taken by that court, unless you have made an affidavit of corporate denial prior to, is that you are coming in as the fiction, and they will treat you as such. In other words, you are the victim, you are the defendant, and a defendant will never win.
Right. I can agree with that. I just put that up in the chat for anybody that wants to tap into that. That's Federal Civil Code of Civil Procedure, Texas 52A.
Yes.
The presumption going into court is that you are a straw man. You are
That's right.
legal fiction. If
Yes.
you have not invoked your true man or woman status, they're going to treat you like a fiction.
That's right.
That's a very good point.
That is
I'm glad
exactly.
to know that reference.
And the reason for that is since the court is a fiction, they cannot deal with the flesh and blood. They can't.
Absolutely.
They just can't. So they have to have you. They have
Yes.
to have your straw man.
And to even drive that point home even more, anything within the corporatocracy, corporation world is limited liability. That's the whole purpose of a corporation, is so that its shareholders and officers enjoy limited liability. Now, when you are a sovereign, you are unlimited liability.
That's
so
right.
Therefore, when you do any procedures or processes as a flesh and blood man or woman, the only people who can challenge you have to step forward out the corporate veil and come to you in full unlimited liability.
That's right.
If they can't step to you in unlimited liability, they have no claim.
That's right. And we also mandate when we're dealing with these people that they not only come in under their full commercial liability, but that any statements, responses, replies, whatever, are given under penalty of perjury.
Now, you're saying with the processes we're talking here, these administrative processes?
Yeah. If we're dealing,
really?
if we're dealing with them, if we're doing an affidavit or a written notice in the form of an affidavit, which is even stronger, that we require them to respond under their full commercial liability and utilizing.
So is this on behalf of strawman, or is this
no, their liability. Their liability. If they're interfacing with if they're interfacing with our documents, they're coming back.
Strawman.
Yes. Right.
Okay, because the only strawman you want in commerce, though, correct? Because you don't want to take your flesh and blood in.
No, your flesh and blood can't be in commerce.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
but you would be signing on behalf of strawman. However, you would demand that someone step back forward in unlimited liability.
Well, even if we're dealing with a corporate entity, because we are the authorized representative for the strawman.
Right.
We're also a trust interest holder in the SESTQ Trust.
Oh.
So we can deal through the strawman's name as the authorized representative. So when we are, say I'm having a problem with my mortgage company, and I want them to respond to an affidavit. My requirement is that whoever's doing the response assumes the responsibility for coming back to me under full commercial liability, the UCC, all of the federal rules of civil procedure and or criminal procedure, Title 18, and they also come in under penalty of perjury.
Interesting. Now, see, that's a very big gap filler for me, because I'm thinking if you're in commerce, then it never occurred to me to demand an unlimited liability response.
Right. Yeah, and the penalty of perjury statement puts them in a box.
Wow. So
big box.
Okay. So then that would be entailed in the way your documents are already set up.
Exactly. Yes.
Great. Yeah. That's awesome, folks. This is great. I'm so glad to have you on the line, because there's so many esoteric questions that arise from studying all of this stuff, and really internalizing what is actually going on. You have these nuanced questions, and there's nobody around to ask them and answer. Ask them to.
Well, there are, but you have to purchase somebody's seminar material usually.
Yeah, there you have it. There you go. Hundreds and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, there you're lucky if you get half the answer, because they have a follow-up seminar where they add a little more to it and a little more to it. I don't want to knock anybody, but this is what happens.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, I hear you, but it's true.
It is, unfortunately.
It gets to be a little much after a while, It's like, give me a...
Well, I don't know how familiar your people are with the various, I want to say, quasi-gurus out there, because they're really not gurus. There are some good people that used to be well-intentioned, but they somehow got bit by the money bug, and now everything is fee-based.
Yeah. I mean, my thing is, if you're doing these processes, I mean, why can't we just all spread it around and, share?
I mean, it's very true. I mean, even it's a given, a maxim of law, and also under God's law, that a workman is worthy of his hire. And I'm pretty sure you people will understand that. How you approach that is where you see vast differences between how the gurus do their work and how those of us that actually have an inclination to help the mass of people, the public, the real people, the citizens that are in dire straits, we approach it from a completely different angle. Yeah. We don't mind getting paid, but we don't demand it. There's no set fee. For what I do.
That was one of the things we had in common, was that we work very similarly in terms of helping people, and we kind of.
I explain my circumstances. Yeah, I explain how I do it to you, and we won't go into that. But
we just have a similar lifestyle, based on the fact that our main thing isn't money. Bottom line, our main drive is not money.
Money's a tool. You use it in whatever way, shape, or form you can shape it into a tool. Exactly. Other than that, it has no value. I can't eat it. It's not going to keep me alive, and I'm certainly not going to pray to it.
Yeah, you can believe that one. I'm with you there. So basically then, getting a little deeper into our topic tonight, accepted for value, and really trying to master this process here and get some definitive answers. Number one, after talking to you, I do want to say clearly, and I'm sure you will obviously endorse this, but it works. That's the first bottom line we need to cover.
Oh,
You're
absolutely.
someone that with firsthand experience, you've done hundreds of thousands of dollars in this stuff, if not into the millions, and so you can absolutely attest that it works. Speak to that for me.
Yes. Accepted for value, which what we call A4V, has been around for actually quite a period of time. I won't go back to the inception point. But with the understanding that they took away the gold, they took away the silver, they left us with no what's called money of account, no constitutional-based money. Federal Reserve notes are private script, sold for, no matter what the denomination of the note, they're sold for 2 cents per bill to the Federal Reserve. It's private script. It's not government.
And it's actually a contract, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
It is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is a contract between Treasury and Federal Reserve, IMF, actually the UN.
So do you come into that by using the Federal Reserve notes? Are you not part of that contract at that point? Or?
No, because see, it's what we consider a forced benefit. They give us. There's no alternative.
Duress.
In commerce.
Yeah, there you go with duress again.
Yeah, there we go. It's duress. It is a forced benefit.
And you got to invoke that, folks, when you're doing things. You need to make it known. I would think, if you're going to do this stuff, that this is under duress because you have no other option.
Right.
Is
exactly.
Is that something you invoke with your paperwork?
In certain instances, depending on what we're doing. But we do mention quite liberally and quite often in our paperwork that we are forced, as you say, threat, duress, coercion type situation,
right.
to utilize Federal Reserve notes because that's all there is.
Right.
We can understand how unwieldy the use of gold and silver really is if you're using such. And there are a lot of people that won't take it. Courts can't even take gold or silver in payment.
Nobody can anymore legally for exchange.
No, they can't.
You can only have it for what is it? What do you keep the gold for? What is it? Not decoration, but the little gold coins, commemorative.
And they're commemorative coins, predominantly. I mean, you can still invest, you can still play the futures market, so on and so forth. But there are a lot of places that just don't want it. They don't want the responsibility. They don't want to be caught with it. Should something go south with the way the government treats, the hoarding of precious metals.
Yeah, quite frankly, it's illegal for a U.S. citizen to even have that type of gold other than a commemorative coin.
Right. Yeah.
So they did away with that quite some time ago.
The A4V itself, accepted for value. I don't want to call it a process, but it's easy to use the term. Yeah. Is based on House Joint Resolution 192. And House Joint Resolution 192 basically says it's a promise that the federal government will offset any debt of the citizen, of the real person, because there is no constitutional money. Dollar for dollar.
It's speaking to the real man and woman, not your legal fiction.
It's speaking to both. And this is where they had to make the provision for the authorized representative. Who else is going to speak for the straw man?
Correct. See, these are the things, folks, the in-between stuff we need to know. This is going to get us very clear.
Yeah, unless you give someone a power of attorney, you are the straw man.
Right. Until you clarify the relationship on paper.
Right, exactly. Right. And then that's where we come in with the UCC1 filings and what some people call our freedom documents and acts of state and apostilles and so on and so forth.
So then you do advocate doing a UCC1 with straw man and real man. You advocate
I do.
That?
Yes, absolutely.
Now let me ask you this question, because it was coming to us that in terms of not wanting to take your real person, real man, into commerce, that being a slight nuance there, but maybe forming a trust, an actual trust in your name, and putting the trust there in terms of in relationship with straw man. How do you feel about that?
I actually do work with trusts. I set trusts up for certain people and businesses. I'm very conversant with that. It's not absolutely necessary to do it, but if someone has assets that need to be protected, or they're saving their wealth.
We're thinking of our sovereignty. We don't want to compromise the
then you don't need
Sovereign Immunities Act.
Then you don't need a trust for that. The trust is already established. We have two different things that we're dealing with. We have the foreign situs trust, which is evidenced by the birth certificate being on file with the DTC, or actually in the possession of the DTC, as a registered United States security.
Right, and it's in our name.
That's the foreign situs trust. Then we have the CESTA-Q trust, or the SS trust, or the UCC trust, whichever term you choose to use. That has already been. It was established from the date they approved your SS5 application and issued a Social Security number.
Right.
It's been there forever, and for some of us.
So then there's no compromising of your sovereignty then by putting your flesh and blood name on that UCC1?
No, because what you're doing is you're making straw man the debtor.
Okay.
Therein lies. Then you have Then you have your security agreement. You have your list of assets, liabilities, possessions, driver's license. You can claim anything. You can claim your Social Security number. You can claim your driver's license number. You can claim your bank accounts. Because, folks, these all belong to the straw man. They don't belong to you.
Well, now here's an argument that I got actually today, is that they belong to the government. Now, how would you respond to that?
The Social Security number very clearly belongs to the United States government, belongs to the Social Security Administration and or the IRS, since they've taken over. Yeah, they've taken over the majority of the functions for the Social Security Administration.
Because we were under the impression that it was more of a power of attorney, where you're getting these benefits like the welfare, incapable person money, so therefore they have more of a guardianship over you than anything else. That we personally, in terms of being sovereign, this is kind of like a sovereign, borderlining with commerce type of.
It is. We're allowing the sovereign individual. I don't want to use the term person, because the term person is defined in the Social Security regulations and
even
codes.
Individual, we found out was a godless person.
Exactly. Yeah, a corporate entity. So I choose to use the term either real
man
human being, real person, man or woman, or individual. But let me caution people about, you mentioned the term benefits, and I'm not going to get into a political diatribe here,
right.
Republican versus Democrat, so on and so forth.
Right, yeah.
But I think most people understand which party is very, very liberal and wants benefits for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
The unfortunate thing about accepting government benefits is you are basically going back and giving up your sovereignty by accepting government benefits. You are falling under the 14th Amendment again, the corporate citizen.
So then it's not necessary to completely abandon the Social Security number, but we are thinking more along the lines of doing the withdrawal to withdraw from benefits, the SS5 form. How do you feel about that?
No. Well, the withdrawal is actually an SS521.
Right, 521.
The SS5, I believe, is an application for your, an EIN or something. I don't deal with that too much. But, the 521 is a withdrawal form, which the government really will not let you do. They really won't. And there's a reason for that. If you abandon the Social Security number, you're restricting their access to the funds that are being held in that account.
So is it possible to end their guardianship though, and then keep the account open? I mean,
oh yeah,
really
we have a procedure to do that. See, the interesting thing is this: the Sestacute Trust. We're the grantor of the trust. Now, if any of you people know anything about trust, you know the grantor can modify the terms of the trust. He's the only person, he or she are the only person that can. The trustee can't, beneficiary can't, trust interest holder or middleman can't. It has to be the grantor. We are the grantor of the trust. On the nativity date, I don't use the term birth date because it ties into the vessel again.
Right.
But on the nativity date, your mother signed you over via the certificate of live birth to the county where you were born, then to the state, then to the federal government.
Right.
And nowadays, and a lot of you people might have come across this, it's practically impossible to get a child out of the hospital without having filled out the paperwork with a Social Security number. They will not let you go.
Wow.
They will move earth and heaven both to stop you. People still do.
I heard that they try to talk people out of it, but there's a big check that you get with that, isn't it? You get all your money back or whatever.
What was that?
With the SS withdrawal, the SS
No, you don't.
Oh, you don't get a check.
No, you do not. That's a misconception of the patriot community. Sorry, I don't want to burst your bubble, but that is entirely a misconception. There are people that are proponents of trying to collapse the trust, and there is a way to do that. I'm not going to tell anybody how to do it because I think it's a bad idea. When you understand that you are the grantor of the Sestacute Trust, you can force your way into becoming a participant and having access to the trust funds. You're already a trustee, a co-trustee. We don't know who the actual trustee is. It's probably somebody in West Virginia's IRS office. You are also a co-beneficiary. There are others. You are a middleman, and you are a trust interest holder.
Yeah,
the two things we want.
That was interesting.
The middleman is okay. Let's use, for instance, a brokered situation. Say you're dabbling in stocks and bonds, and you have a broker. Broker is a middleman.
Right. Yeah.
So somebody's always brokering a deal.
Right. Somebody's always in the middle.
Unfortunately, they don't always apprise us of what the details are. Oh, very seldom do they tell us what the details of the deal are. But we do know that it involves our funds. Now, the odd thing about the Sestacute Trust and finding access to it and being able to utilize it and distribute the income at will without anybody's permission is declaring yourself a non-adverse party. The IRS rules are very, very clear-cut on how we do this. The reason we don't know about this and the reason we can't access those funds is because they've classified us all these years as an adverse party. They claim that if we were aware of the trust... Pardon?
Straw man or us person?
No, real person.
Really?
Yes. The straw man can't... The straw man's a decedent. First of all, let's all understand that. The straw man is dead. He was born dead.
Right.
Anytime you're in court and they're dealing with your straw man, they're probating your account. That's why the courts, I don't want to get it too far off track of where I was. But courts are there to probate the account because they need the money.
Makes sense. Because it's dead, created by the government, and they control it. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Perfect sense.
I
Okay,
will go this far. Your average parking ticket is worth $2 million to the municipality that issues that ticket.
Wow. Dang, so they're using your exemption and reprocessing the ticket.
Exactly.
Sick.
Now, if you have a criminal charge, if you have a criminal charge at a state level, say a felony, it's worth $40 million minimum.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Guess where it comes from?
My signature.
Comes out of your account. You don't even have to sign.
They do it. Oh, yeah, they got control over it because you don't walk
That's
in
right.
with an attorney, major award of the court.
Well, they don't have to make you a ward of the court because under the Social Security, not the Social Security, but the Internal Revenue rules, and probably somewhere in Social Security rules as well now, because they seem to be combined.
Right.
The judge is one of the trustees and beneficiaries of your account. He can direct control and direction of the assets.
Wow. Yeah, because the bench is a bank, the judge is
The
a bank.
bench is a bank, exactly. They have a TT&L account, Treasury Tax and Loan account. They're a federal window to the FRB.
The court is a Fed window.
Yeah.
Wow.
They also issue judicial bonds via the GSA forms 24, 25, and 25A in your name and Social Security number.
We've used them. We've had some success with it. We've had some success with that.
Yeah, they don't use them the way we do. We use them to get out of trouble.
Right. They use them to put us in trouble.
They sell them as an investment to Wall Street, just like your mortgage lender did with your note.
Unbelievable. And this is just some of the background, folks, on this whole process in terms of accepted for value, just some of the financial end of it. We're obviously,
it's amazing the details you can go into. It's sickening. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's pull back just a little bit, but we're going to get into that definitely. I can tell we're going to talk about all this stuff at some point. But I do want to get back into this. So accepted for value is you using your exemption that's already been set up by the government via these birth certificates, social, and various secret accounts in the background running that we don't know about.
Right.
So what I initially want to talk about, so we talked about the exemption. Now this account information, as it pertains to accepting things for value.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're talking the Social Security number with and without dashes, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and we're also talking about using the IRS, which is where we're sending this stuff.
Right.
We're talking about the bill that you get or the payoff statement. That's one of the accounts involved.
Yeah, what we call a presentment. Anything that comes that demands money, we call a presentment under contract law.
There you go. Okay, so we've got the presentment where they're asking for the consideration of the money.
Right.
Now, I want to touch again briefly on this contract trust account because that's something that's at the IRS. Now, you're saying that we need to invoke it or acknowledge it up front.
Yes.
So that is one preliminary step we have to take. Talk to me more about that.
Well, what we do is the odd thing about, we've been searching for this for years. I mean, literally dozens of years, Reesie. And it took 6 months of, I won't throw names out here but some people may be aware of what's going on, maybe not. But I'm not going to throw names out for people to, try to search or whatever. But there were dozens of us that have been researching this for years and years and years. And there was one individual who got so focused and apparently had a lot of time on his hands, spent 8 months chasing code after code after code after code. The code that applies to our ability to utilize what we call the WFIT, which is a widely held fixed investment trust, so everybody knows.
WHFIT, yeah.
Right. That's widely held in fixed investment trust is what the Social Security Administration and the IRS call it, their definition. The code is the only section of code in Title 26 that's written exactly backwards from all of the other code entries. You cannot find it. If I gave you a reference to it right now and told you what they were, you would not find them. You would go into Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and find a page that talks about liquor stamps and illegal stills and penalties and so on and so forth. It's written exactly backwards from all of the other codes. It's a very short section, very concise, very clear.
So you have to go to actually where it's held in the building. You got to go like physically where it's at to find it.
Yeah, I have a link to it. I'm going to give you all of this later so you can disseminate it through your email contacts.
Sure.
But I will give you tons of things probably over the next few days.
So this widely held fixed investment trust is connected to the A4V process?
Yes, it's in a very indirect way. The A4V does not directly address the Sestacue Trust, other than we annotate our paperwork in such and such a way.
Being your birth certificate, social ID.
Right, and even the foreign situs trust, that being the birth certificate with the DTC, we don't even address that for the A4V. We really don't need to. And to tell you the truth, to utilize the A4V because of House Joint Resolution 192 and because of Public Law 7310, or public policy as we call it now, because we have no laws. I'll explain that in a moment.
Public policy, yeah.
Public Policy 7310 and the provision as written in the older version of 31 U.S.C. 5118 D2. No demandant for money can specify a particular species of money he wishes to be paid in.
They can't say Federal Reserve notes.
They cannot specify Federal Reserve notes. All there is nowadays is credit.
Okay, so that's key, folks. Let's really focus in on that. One of the crucial fundamental reasons that this process exists and that it works is because we have no lawful legal money in circulation.
Exactly. All we have is credit. Yes.
So this is a remedy to the citizens, to the real flesh and blood people who the gold was confiscated from. I'm going to strike out and say. So it's for both
illegally, if I might add.
Real man. Oh yeah, quite illegally. It was actually voluntary, but people thought it was mandatory. Some people did, some people didn't. But you didn't hear about the ones who didn't, of course.
No.
But
no, they have names like Rockefeller and
yeah, Rothschild.
Yes.
Yeah, the purse carriers for the Vatican. Yeah, we know.
Right. The people that actually own the country.
Yeah, the secret government, if you will, shadow government people.
Well, that's what they are.
Yeah. So basically then we've got our account then, the Sestacue Trust being your social, birth certificate, and then of course you have the birth certificate down at the DTC, which is the securities document where the money is held and where it is represented. So your exemption is actually at the DTC with that birth certificate, but we don't actually have to tap into it per se to use it, is what you're saying.
No, it interfaces with the Sestacue Trust, actually. It's a separate trust all by itself. And the reason...
These numbers are what give us access. The Social Security without the dash is...
And I'm going to give people a moment here to, if they have one, a relatively newer Social Security card.
Yes, I spoke of that. Now, is this due to the reorganization in '99 of the bankruptcy?
Well, it's no. I want people to look at the back of their Social Security card and see if they have a red 8-digit number prefaced by an alpha character.
Yeah, I just got a new one. That's what mine looks like.
That is the private exemption account, or the private exemption number, which we very seldom use anymore. I'm not going to go into that.
I thought it was a bond number.
It is not only a bond, but you will find that number on Federal Reserve notes.
I knew it. I told people that. I knew it, Ralph. I knew it. I figured that one out. I was like, you know what? This is the digits on the money they print, because it only makes sense.
That's right. Yeah.
If we're the full faith and credit, and the government's giving bonds to the Fed to print the dollars, bam, there's your money, your number's there.
That's right. It's our number.
So
now,
basically, the odd thing
Yeah, the odd thing about this is you can get 3 Social Security cards a year.
10 for life.
10 for life. Every number on the newer cards, the exemption number on the back, will be different on every card.
Every time you get one. So what are they doing? Setting up different bonds every time you order a card?
That's right. Yeah, all you're doing is you're giving public license and private license to the Federal Reserve to print more money.
So it's amazing that they don't promote for people to get more Social Security cards. That's weird.
Well,
they don't really promote that.
Well, I mean, it doesn't hurt. It certainly isn't going to hurt anybody to do that, but it doesn't actually serve a purpose either, as some people say, that you can collapse, to 10 trust accounts and get $3.5 billion. And somebody with the initials PTK was putting this out. We won't go there.
Right.
Because I really have an issue with that. But the reason I want to bring this up is because we have the public side, which is the Social Security number. That's the public trust and the public exemption number. Right. Or without, either way.
Oh, okay. Okay, the number itself. Okay.
Yeah, it works either way. They don't just trust me. The IRS knows where those dashes go.
Right.
The private number on the back is when if you are using say you're trying to get somebody extricated from prison via the GSA forms, and you're familiar with what those are.
Yes.
We use the private number because the private number is directly tied to the Foreign Situs Trust at DTC. DTC is holding the prison bonds.
So the bond that locked the person up, they have the bonds and the birth.
Right. They're doing the transactions against those judicial bonds. So when you try to extricate someone from jail or prison or whatever the situation might be, you use that private exemption number on your forms. You use the birth certificate number in the newer.
So you have to go get your bond number off your birth certificate too.
Well, you have to not the bond number per se. You need the actual birth certificate, federally mandated newer code, 3-digit - 2-digit - 5-digit. The federal government
on the birth certificate though.
On the birth certificate, yes. And some of us older folks. No, I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but some of us older folks don't even have that newer code on ours.
Right. Like my folks.
So when if you're trying to extricate someone from prison, you have to deal the DTC into the transaction.
Now, I know we put them on the forms, but they were just like as an employer or something. I think it was the employer.
No, actually, no, they're the actual surety holder on the 289091. We put Depository Trust Corporation or Depository Trust Company, 55 Water Street, New York.
Yeah.
5th floor. That's where they're at.
So they're the actual surety.
They're the actual surety for all of these bonds. And they're actually the beneficiary too, which is very odd.
Well, yeah, that's like the banks beneficiary.
Well, there you go. So anyway, background. See, it's a matter. People need to connect dots.
Yeah, that's what this is. We're connecting some fundamental dots for folks. Like I said,
they are very fundamental dots to the understanding.
The basic stuff is out there, face value, accepted for value. It's out there.
Right. Getting back to HDR 192, which some people argue has been rescinded, blah, blah, blah. We don't care. It's been codified, and it's been cited in court cases. So it still holds up.
Glad you spoke to that. Okay. I heard that too.
HDR 192 applied only to Washington, D.C. residents because a House Joint Resolution does not apply to the national or state citizens. Right. So they had to codify it in public policy 7310 and the 31 U.S.C. 5118 D2 to apply to the rest of us. The reason they had to pass the resolution is because they'd taken the constitutional money. You cannot pay a debt with another debt. In other words, with federal
precisely what they have us doing.
Right.
what
yes,
the
that's what they have. That's what. But we can't. All we can do is discharge it into the future. It's a set off.
It's a set off into the future, folks, when they apparently, I guess, bring back the standard of lawful money, which who in God's name knows when that's going to be.
Exactly.
So
There's
all of these debts are being put off into the future, which is why China's sitting there tapping their fingers like, okay, so when are we going to do this?
Yes. Well, we'll get. Let me address the China issue in just a moment. But the reason they had to pass H.J.R. 192 is because they committed treason against the Constitution when they took the constitutional money. That's a death sentence unless they provide a lawful remedy. This was their lawful remedy. HJR 192 and the provisions now under public policy in 31 U.S.C. Without that, there would have been blood in the streets. In a very,
so people were using this then when it first came out, probably.
Oh, sure. Yeah, the people in the know how to do it. But
so then the account that we have to set up, though, so if all the Social Security account is there, the bond number on the back, that stuff is already set up. The account is already there.
Yep.
Now the UCC contract trust account, we have to invoke it or acknowledge we know about it. What exactly are we doing?
Yeah, it's basically an acknowledgement that we're aware of it. We are declaring that we are no longer functioning as an adverse party.
Oh, you come out of conflict.
Yeah. Well, see, this falls under the Trading with the Enemy Act. You know, we're all enemies of the state.
Yes.
We are the enemy.
Yes, folks. With the American is the domestic terrorist. So if you hear people say that word, stop tripping over it, because if you're not U.S. government.
Yeah, know, they had to do this under Title 50, Trading with the Enemy Act. Because they became an enemy because they committed treason when they stole the gold. Exactly. So we're their enemy, and they told us that. Right. Yeah. So that's why we're the adverse party, because we would take umbrage with the fact that they're stealing our money. They stole from us. Right. So once we say, okay, hey, I'm not tripping, I'm going to use this process, then they're cool with us. So basically, accessing the contract trust account is just saying, hey, I know it's there. Now, it's at the IRS. It's physically where this account is. And there are no numbers to it or anything like that. Well, it's actually probably with the Federal Reserve. They never really tell us, where the funds are. But this is the actual money the account is in. I mean, the account. It's with the Federal Reserve. It is with the Federal Reserve. It really is. The exemption funds come out of the contract trust account. Right. Yeah. It's part of Treasury. Treasury is owned by Goldman Sachs. I don't know whether anybody knows that or not. Oh, I didn't. Wow. Oh yeah, the 3/4 of the Treasury is owned outright by Goldman Sachs investment firm. Ain't that a bitch? And they're trying hard to get the rest of it. Unflippin' believable. God, these people. Doesn't this irritate you? Corporatocracy at work. Corporatocracy. We're back to the Wizard of Oz, which is a very great analogy. And people might want to they might want to watch this movie again, because you got to watch what that guy behind that curtain's doing. Yeah, man. I tell people that all the time. It's a little wizard. You got to just debunk him. So they gave us our remedy. They just didn't tell us how to. So there's really no major significance of this UCC contract. It's just there. Just know it's there. Yeah. You're going to do it. You're going to invoke your awareness of it. It's not. It's not. It's not the presentment. Yeah, it's not magic, and we can access it, and we can utilize it, and we can direct the flow of payments from this account. Now we do this. With the A4V, this is what we do. Without doing the notification process. Oh, okay. That's notifying them that we know the trust exists, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's what we call the WOOF-IT process. Oh, okay. Okay, so that's a separate one, folks. That's new. It's coming out. It's coming soon. Right, because we're utilizing various IRS forms. Yeah, that's deep. We're going to talk about that on a later show. We're going to keep doing this. I think that's a later show. Yeah, because like I said, you let me get up on this pedestal or this little box here. I can talk for hours. I'm like, it's okay. We need to get this. Go ahead. Direct my full thought for me here.
Yes, yes. Okay. So what I want to, so we talked about all the accounts that are involved, the account information. So we talked about the
Right.
bond number, the social, the contract trust account, which is where the actual money comes out of that's going to pay based on this accepted for value process. So we don't
Right.
have to get all caught up on that. So now I want to get into the actual concept of, and we talked about the presentment, which is the bill or the account that you're actually trying to pay. Okay, so
Right.
those are all the accounts involved in the information as it pertains to this process. Now I want to get into the actual conversion of the document, the statement, which is converted to, I'm going to say money or a money order, because I know
Okay.
Doug's call he did last week, he talked about converting the statement to a money order. Now, I don't know if that's the same exact, because
Well,
I know
we don't
accepted
actually.
for value is a qualified
Yeah.
endorsement, which is not
Right.
a money order. There's two
Accepted.
different things here.
Yeah, we have preferably handwritten seems to work better. But some people actually go out and have a stamp made. And basically, I'm going to give you the layout of what you need to put on any presentment. And some presentments have a coupon at the bottom.
Right, your bill.
So
your
I want this statement at the top. Accepted for value, one line. Exempt from levy is the second line. This is in red ink, or red
we'll
stamp.
have samples of this stuff, guys.
Right, we'll have samples, yeah. Then your name, preferably in script, in other words, written out by hand.
Signature, okay.
Signature of the real man. Okay. Then a date, preferably the current date. Those are in blue. Signature and date are in blue. Another line, exemption ID, and then your social security number without dashes.
Okay, so that's the ID of your exemption is the social.
That's one line. Again, these are in red. Next line, simply deposit to. Next line, in red, United States Treasury. Next line, and charge the same to.
And then that's where you put the bond number.
That's where you print your name rather than scripting it out.
Oh, okay, right.
Printed name. And then underneath that, you put your social security number with dashes. So I hope you're writing this down, Reesie, so you can, when people go, what was that next line? I was trying to go slow, but sometimes
Well, you know what?
don't catch everybody.
I have to confess, I'm actually not, but I know you're going to give me the sample.
Actually, I'll send you the link to the actual example. How's that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Okay.
Now, and then I've seen a couple. You know, I got some stuff already. So.
Well, yeah, Doug actually has a very good sample.
Exactly.
At a website, and you probably already have that link.
Yeah, that one I have.
Okay.
Now his was more like a money order, I think.
Well, no. Then we do the money order on the coupon portion or the lower portion of the statement.
Oh, so it's a combination. Okay.
Right. Yes, because at the bottom we write money order or order for money, whichever you prefer.
Gotcha.
And this is handwritten in blue.
Yeah.
Money order.
Money order.
Right.
Yeah.
Pay to United States Treasury. Yes. Date. The amount. Then below that we script out just like you would on a check on the lower line, not the numbers, but you know where you're writing out, say like $10,500, $363, whatever it is.
Yes.
You write that out, and then below that you put by, colon, and you sign your name.
Makes a lot of sense. So
then you put Then you put Social Security number again after your signature with no dashes.
We do have a picture of this, a snapshot, folks. is just an explanation of what we're doing. So the actual presentment is in two parts. You have the statement, and you have the remittance portion at the bottom. So instead of tearing that off, you'll do the qualified endorsement, which is the accepted for value language, and we have samples of that. That goes at the top 45-degree angle on the statement. The remittance portion is what we're actually converting into a money order. And if you look up the word remittance, it is a species of money.
Exactly.
That is why they want you to send that statement back with the bill, because they take it and turn it into money again. They've been doing this.
Yep.
Okay, now you can do
also, it. Below your signature, you will again write out authorized representative.
Ah, very important.
Yes, because you're authorizing, in our case, the IRS to go to the private side account to process the funds to do the discharge.
Now, why are we paying the Treasury? And is the Treasury paying the bill? What's the flow on that?
Yeah, because, we have to process in and process out. You have to remember what the IRS does most effectively, above all, besides irritate people, is count beans. So they have to have, it's a double entry process.
Accrual system, double entry.
Under GAAP, yes. Generally accepted accounting principles.
So you're
debit and credit,
and then,
right. Because when it goes to the IRS, it goes in as liability funds, Federal Reserve notes.
Okay, the obligation, the U.S.
Right. When they pay it out, it's hard assets. So just as if they were paying in silver or gold. So you're actually
money goes in as a debt and it comes out as a credit.
Yeah, there's a difference between debt and asset.
Right.
So this is why
it comes out as, even though it's all debt money, it comes out the other end as an asset because it's what we're spending.
Right. We're spending an asset.
Show it as a okay. So, but it's debt in, debt out, basically.
Basically, yeah. Because the people that they're paying don't care which way they get it.
Oh no, but they get an actual check though, right?
But they get, in most cases they get what they call a Fed wire or electronic transfer. It's all credit.
One question I do have though is, why is it, even in cases where the process works, like for a credit card, for example, they'll shut off the credit card? What's with that?
Because they're losing the interest.
Oh, so then they just kill your account?
Well, sure. What does a bank want? How does a bank make money?
Yeah, off the interest,
Interest.
So, but if you keep using the card every month, though. Oh, but I guess they know now you're going to just remedy it every month.
Yeah, it would be like having an American Express card, no interest if you pay it off every month. I'm sorry, we didn't make any money off you. Why should we deal with you?
So is there any kind of solution to that? I mean, because eventually, you're going to be able to keep getting credit cards. What's the deal there?
Well, that's where I would have people transfer over to using the Whippet instead of the A4V, which it's a more advanced process and a little harder to understand. We'll get to that point at some time and make it completely step by step, basically boilerplate for people.
So really, then this comes down to you satisfied the debt, but we don't want you as a customer anymore because now we can't make any money off of you with interest because you're going to pay off every month.
Well, yeah, you quit being the victim.
Ah, that's so funny. So, in your experience, have people been able to go back and get new cards, or how's that working?
Oh, sure, yeah, no problem. But I will also explain a process when we get into the Whippet whereby you can establish a line of credit with a bank and they're guaranteed payment.
Oh, yeah, we're going to really get into that. We are absolutely going to get into that.
I'm going to tell you way later downstream, probably not on this call because I think we're going to be running over here shortly, but I can actually tell you a way to go down to your local grocer and say, Mr. Grocer, I will give you tax credits. You give me a line of credit of, say, $50,000, and you tell me when I need to give you more credits. And he'll be happy. He'll be happy to talk to you.
Give you a little debit card for your groceries every month.
Wow. Well, there's also a thing called the Treasury debit card.
Oh, the black card.
The black card. DTC has one too. It's white. I don't know.
We have somebody that recently made a trip to the Federal Reserve to set all this up, and we're still kind of waiting to hear what happens.
Yeah, it's very interesting. But what we're hoping to do at some point in time, and there have been some changes within the IRS within the last week, and I want to cover those too because it actually helps us tremendously. One major change. But eventually, what we're hoping to do, either by using the straight accepted for value process that I just laid out, or a modified accepted for value where we use some of the WIFIT processes by using the 1099s, or using a straight WIFIT process, is we hope to get to the point where Treasury understands that we are bringing all of our accounts into honor, and we're going to ask that we be given the Treasury debit card, which tied in directly to our account.
I was wondering how you was going to get that.
Well, I have my ways.
I know that's right. I got your back. I
have my ways.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're going to grow up into the WIFIT. And when he says WIFIT, folks, it's WHFIT, which is the, what's W again?
It's widely held fixed investment trust, right?
And that isn't a process or an entity or a policy, whatever you want to call it. That that basically is a SESTQ trust. That's how we access. It's a more sophisticated methodology of accessing the same exemption that Ralph and some of his cohorts have figured out, and he's going to be sharing with us down the line. But we're trying to just get everybody a basic, strong, fundamental understanding of the A for V process. So we've gotten into some of the history, account information, converting the statement into the actual money order.
Right. Do you want the addresses?
To the Treasury. You can go ahead and throw it out there. Yeah, just
okay. Because there are three addresses that work with this predominantly. They are the people that are the specialists, and this might sound odd to people, but these three offices I'm going to give you addresses for are all criminal investigation offices. They are CID. These are enforcement people. They're not the people you call on the phone. I call and talk to them, and you may get to that point at some point in time. But these are the people that know every rule in the book and how to get around it, if there's a way.
About this stuff. Okay.
About this stuff. Yep.
Interesting.
So, yeah,
nothing to be scared of.
No. These people are marvelous. Let me give you a little example. One of my group members last week was trying to do a purchase using the WIFIT process, going to the vendor saying, I'm going to give you tax credits, blah, blah, blah. And went through the accounting, talked to the head accountant at the dealership, talked to the owner, talked to the attorney, and everybody was on board. No problem. We'll give you whatever you want. We'll give you whatever we want. We want to know how we're going to get paid. So she was not quite understanding the exact process herself. She called the IRS at a number that I gave her, and they transferred her over to the credit department, tax credit department. Okay. And she talked to two senior supervisors, explained what she was doing, asked them if it was legal, and they went, okay, well, we're pulling your Social Security number up on the screen, and we see that you're one of those people that found the magic code and submitted your paperwork. And yes, you guys have a perfect process, and it is entirely viable to do exactly what you want to do. Wow. And we'll be happy to talk to you anytime you want to call.
So were they able to tell her how her vendor was going to get paid? Was she able to clear that up?
Yeah, she got it all cleared up. She's driving around in a brand new yellow Camaro.
Get out of town, man. This is awesome. Okay, it's going down, folks. It is going down.
And we will use these same three offices, plus another one that I'm not going to tell you about yet, but it ties in with the first address I'm going to give you. They established a new office for the WIFIT process. But for the A4V, we use the IRS Technical Support Division. Okay. And the Treasury UCC Contract Trust Office, Internal Revenue Service at 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest in Washington, D.C. And I know I went fast, and I hope everybody got it. If you didn't, well, I will send these to Reesie.
Archived. Download the show.
Yeah.
And I put the email address commonlawmethod@gmail.com for
there you
questions, inquiries, anything of that nature. Give us a ring.
Right. And the other one is Internal Revenue Service, stop 4440, Post Office Box 9036, Ogden, Utah 84201. Thirdly and lastly, for now anyway, Internal Revenue Service, Criminal Investigation Division, Box 192, Covington, Covington, Kentucky 41012. And you can tell them I sent you. They know who I am.
Okay, I'll tell them Ralph sent me. Now, so basically, so we've gone over the history, the counts involved in accepting for value, how we're converting the statement or the presentment into an endorsed instrument with the money order at the bottom. Your remittance slip, we're converting that into a money order. We have touched on the role of the IRS, which is basically as the processing entity. So the IRS is where the actual account sits that the actual check or wire is going to come from to pay your presentment, your debt, your bill. So that's the role of the IRS. Now the Treasury is the receiver of the bankruptcy that we're currently in. So
that's very true.
Going through the Treasury in terms of we're not sending anything to the Treasury, but the Treasury is in effect, I guess, backing this transaction.
They are, Again, it's a full faith and credit because of the hypothecation of all of the public assets to the federal government.
So the Secretary of the Treasury is the one backing this up due to the bankruptcy. So they're standing good for this process.
We have 3 entities involved as receivers of the bankruptcy. Secretary of the Treasury, the Secretary of Commerce, and the Secretary of Treasury in Puerto Rico.
U.S. territory.
Right. So we just deal with Timmy Geithner right now. We don't deal with the others.
Okay, great. Well, at least we're figuring out some good he can serve. That's good.
Okay.
Okay. Now a little bit we did briefly touched on the legal ramifications of the fear factor, and one of my requests was to give some strong dispelling of the myth, and maybe touch on what you might know of any people that have been charged with any criminal act and any mistakes that they made that you may know of. But we just want to speak a little bit to why people need not fear doing this. If you can kind of speak to that.
The primary example why you needn't have any fear of this is because this is your lawful remedy for the removal of the constitutional mandated form of legal money in this country. We went to a private.
Naturalized citizens as well. What about?
Because the naturalized citizens get a Social Security number.
Right.
And they also have their naturalization papers given to DTC. It just is a right. They're in the mix. They're in the mix.
So all of our naturalized friends, your information works just as good. Okay?
Oh yeah.
So just so I'm
not going to slam anybody, but I've been around the country numerous times, and I have a lot of what I call mini DACs that are friends, and these are people from Minnesota and North Dakota. So there are a lot of naturalized citizens up there, and there are tons of them that know this process and use it on a consistent basis.
Okay, there you have it, folks. We have naturalized citizens utilizing the accepted for value process, and for presumably quite some time now.
Sure, yeah.
Been doing it, and it's working for
them. People have been doing this for years. I've been doing this myself for 16 years. I don't use the A4V anymore. I can't even tell you how much money I've discharged, or debt I've discharged.
Whoa.
I will say this though, so that people will garner maybe more of an interest into going to the more advanced process, the WOOF it. In the last 6 weeks, I personally, working with other people, because I will explain this in a moment, I do not use the process for a very good reason for myself, but I do it for friends and family members, and sometimes these are extended family members that I've adopted or have adopted me. I have discharged over $9 million in 6 weeks, guaranteed by the IRS.
Now, this is with their data, though, or your information? Are you paying for them?
No, this is my information.
With your information.
Yeah, but I have confirmed it all with the banks that we were dealing with, or the vendors, and the IRS. Like I say, I have people I can call at the IRS and say, "What happened to this?"
Right. Well, I guess we know who the official new mentor is here.
Well, but see, I prefer to remain in the background, which is why I don't do public speaking or seminars, because it has a tendency to get. It's that notoriety I don't want. I don't mind helping people. I don't mind talking to you. I don't mean laying this out. I'm treating this, Reesie, really like I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
On a private level. There's nobody else around.
Yeah, that's cool.
You're taking notes, doing whatever you do, and somebody else is, they're doing whatever they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm compromised over a dollar value. Now, let me explain one time why I don't use the process for myself. First of all, I don't have any debt to use it on.
Okay, that's a good reason.
The other reason is I've started out researching this 25 years ago because I was angry at the IRS. I do very good legal documents, even though I'm not an attorney. I'm very well versed in what to say, when to say it, how to say it, and how to elicit a non-response or put them in a position where they cannot respond. I wrote an affidavit to the IRS that they couldn't answer. I said, I'm not a taxpayer, I'm not a citizen, I'm not this, I'm not that. And if you don't rebut my affidavit in 20 days, my affidavit's going to stand as truth in any court of law, which is a maxim of law. An unrebutted affidavit stands as truth. I've been out of the system for over 25 years. I haven't touched a 1040 with my name on it. And they leave me alone because they couldn't rebut my affidavit. Now, I have to get back into the system under what they call their safe harbor rules and make restitution for any tax liability they think I might have before I can avail myself of what I'm telling you to do or how to do.
So even though you're doing it for other people, it doesn't, with your information. When I say your information, I meant literally like your social, your...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't use that ever.
Oh, okay. So you're using their...
Yeah, no, I'm doing this. I'm doing other people's paperwork and processes.
In their name. Okay.
In their name. Yeah. The IRS knows what I'm doing because actually I'm licensed to do it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they know that. So they have no problem calling me if they have a question. I'll tell you that.
Wow.
We talk on a daily basis. But basically, and I'm not saying this because I'm holding that out as something you want to do. You people, when you were talking about collapsing the trust, doing the SS 521, don't do that. Don't do what I did. I shot myself in the foot, and I've been bleeding ever since.
Oh.
And now that I've found out about the WOOF it, I can't use it.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah. Because with the WOOF-IT, you can do block grants to help your community. Say you have a volunteer fire department needs $5 million worth of equipment.
We do, actually. We sure do have one.
I can tell you how to do a block grant out of your funds to give them what they need.
Yes.
Or you have a senior citizen center, or you have whatever it is. You can do a block grant to provide the funding that those community services need.
So basically, they're still seeing you as an adverse trading with the enemy person, or what's their?
Well, I'm like public enemy number one. As far as they're concerned.
But they understand that you know what's up and you're still helping people, and they
right, yeah. And actually, they're very sympathetic, and they explain to me how to get back into the system. I just haven't done it yet.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good news. All right, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we got that cleared up, because we definitely were debating that over here, but we certainly don't want to compromise our sovereignty at all.
No,
so we want to make sure that we do it in a manner that...
Yeah. At one point in time, I thought I was protecting my sovereignty because I was not aware of this more advanced knowledge. Now that I am, I'm kind of kicking myself, going, "Well, you dummy, you should, you know." But you do what you do. Like I said, it's like it's like a gambler, a guy that plays the horses, and you ask him, "Why do you keep losing money, or why do you keep playing?" Because I lost $2 betting on a horse once, and I'm still trying to get it back. Well, that's the way I viewed the IRS.
Right. You just want to get it back. Yeah,
I just want to get it back. Yeah.
I can totally understand. Well, I'm glad we didn't do that yet. Then, so we'll certainly.
Don't do that. Do not do anything.
Well, I will say this: that'll be a priority for us to get with you on that element, because we certainly want to preserve what we can while not compromising our sovereignty. And
exactly.
To be
right.
sovereign. So we certainly want to go over that with you in more detail as well. So no fear factor, folks. You don't need to be scared.
Heck no.
He is a witness that you don't have to worry about that. Now, the next question, the next two are kind of like, wrap-up type questions, but in terms of a time frame, because we have people with these debts and stuff, and they got to get things done quickly, blah, blah, blah. So from the time you send off the new converted statement that's a money order, you send it to the IRS, bam, we know the Treasury's backing up the transaction with our full faith and credit, so it's going to get paid, wire transfer. What's the time frame they can anticipate, or what affects the time frame?
What affects the time frame is this your initial submission of an A4V? If it's the first time they've ever seen your name and number associated with an A4V, unfortunately, it can take up to 3 months. And they may test you. And what I mean by this is the IRS is very good at this. If they think you don't know what you're doing, or you don't have any faith in your process or yourself, they will test you.
Yeah, we had somebody that got a test call on the OID.
Yeah, okay. Well, I have the fix for the OID problem, too.
I got one pending now, so that's awesome.
Okay, well, I'll shoot you some samples on how to deal with that, because I just, again, this is an aside from where we are and totally off topic from your question, but I have just recently cleared, I think, about $85,000 in refunds.
Oh, awesome. That is awesome.
Based on cash receipts and transaction histories.
Yes, we got to talk about that. I got my parents are pending right now.
Yep, so they didn't even question it. Because there is a rule, there is a process. And if you read, and this is primarily for you because you probably read these, so I'm just addressing basically probably where you've been. If you read 1212 and 1220, the manuals, that's not where you want to look.
Oh.
That's not where you want to look. Everybody tells you to look at those. That's not where it's at. That's not where it's at. So I will give you this information, and you can disseminate it to your group.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
But yeah, I can tell you how to do that. I can tell you how to make purchases. I can tell you how to make discharges, block grants, and also get almost 100% refund of everything you paid out of pocket and have receipts for. They have what they call a de minimis rule. Anything over $10 qualifies for a 100% refund. That's on a per item basis.
Wow. Now, is this on just an annual return, or throughout the year you can do it, or what?
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, all you have to do is do a 1040X every time, unless you're doing everything all at once at the beginning of the year with your initial tax return. You have to do an X every time, an amended return.
Awesome.
So most people will save it up until the beginning of the year. Now, look at it this way. If you're say you, well, I don't know what you're doing, but let's say you've got receipts totaling $40,000, $50,000, which is not, nowadays it's nothing for most people to have that in the way of expenditures on utilities, insurance, car payments, mortgage payments, whatever, and they all qualify. If you were to get all that back lump sum once a year, where would you be economically?
Yeah, I'm saying I'd be upset.
So you could probably hold over until the next year and do it again, right?
If you want, but
that's it. Yeah. Now I know people that do it on a quarterly basis, but they have huge expenditures, and they like to do it quarterly. And it's
now, will this work on a corporate return too, or just a personal?
No, it will. It will work on a corporate return, unless you have an S corp. In an S corp, it's slightly different procedure.
Okay.
But if you've got an LLC, no
what
problem.
about no receipts but the bank statement?
No, receipts or a transaction history from your bank or a canceled check. If you're one of those people that's lucky enough to get a transaction report. Yeah. I don't think there are many people anymore that get their canceled checks back from the bank.
Well, I heard they're used as securities and they don't send them.
They are. Well, they are. They're traded all over the world. I have gotten. Actually, I've seen with my own eyes a birth certificate that somebody got from the DTC. I won't tell you how they got it, but they did.
Yeah, right.
There were literally attached to that birth certificate hundreds of millions of dollars of corporate debt tied to that birth certificate. They do the same thing with your checks. There might be 30 corporations that are using your little menial $100 check. Yeah. Because it all adds up.
$100 on the face of it as a security?
That's right. Yep. Because it's nickels and dimes over millions of units. So it adds up.
That is unfathomable. I remember when that happened, too, because my parents used to get their canceled checks back, and they stopped that. And that must be when they started doing it. Man, this thing is deep. This is just so deep. So then, so your initial submission could take up to 3 months.
Yeah. Normally it won't. Nowadays the IRS is getting better, and they've just moved, they've relocated some of their offices and added staff support at these, especially these 3 offices that I gave you. But see, another thing too that happened that was kind of focal to the, I want to say the integrity of the operation, was they've moved the IRS out from under Treasury and over under the umbrella of Department of Homeland Security.
That's that police state kicking in on us.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But it actually,
the U.S. government fled to Costa Rica. Have you heard that?
Well, I don't want to get into some of that because I have access to intelligence reviews.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we don't have to talk about
that. Because of my past history, I will go this far and tell you that there are some really serious things going on right now. The United States defaulted recently on a $45 trillion debt payment to China.
Right. Oh yeah, the
China. We have Chinese operatives. We have people from the Vatican, and we have operatives from MI6, which is the intelligence organization for the Queen, over here in the United States right now. Timothy Geithner is under house arrest.
Whoa.
There's rumor that Henry Kissinger has been what we just delicately call horizontalized.
Oh, finally, huh?
The prior Secretary of Treasury has been spirited off to a place where he's under English jurisdiction. We won't go into names. Stop and think of the people that have been very, very silent over the last several months that were usually very vocal. And we'll use the initials Hillary Clinton for one.
Right. Man, that's deep.
There are some very deep things going on. Another thing, and I don't know whether people are paying attention to this, there was a lot of press about the global warming situation in the meeting that took place over in Copenhagen.
Yeah. We were watching that close.
Well, there was a really interesting event that took place in Copenhagen. The Black Dragon Society out of China, one of the triads, one of the huge triads.
The ones that put the hit on the people.
Exactly. They walked into the meeting. They told every delegate there, we don't like where the world economy is going. We have enough gold ourselves in our possession, Black Dragon Society, to pay the world's debts. And we're going to do it within 3 years and put everything back on track.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And every delegate ran out of the room, with the exception of the Chinese, who were cowering under the tables, to call home to mama to get instructions, whether they should argue this or not. There were no arguments.
Now, wait, this is just a regular citizen group, though, right? I mean, like private, obviously high power, but it's not a governmental.
No, they're not. No, they're a triad.
That's like a gang, isn't it? I thought it was like a Chinese gang.
It used to be.
They grew up, huh?
They grew up. Now they don't have any. They have no political agenda to speak of. They don't care. They're businessmen.
They're just out there free.
They're businessmen.
Man, bless their hearts. They're going to pay the world's debt off. You can't get mad at that.
You can't.
Get mad at that no kind of way. God bless you, man.
You can't get mad at that.
Stop talking about these Chinese folks, American patriots. Get off of them. Get off their back.
I want to put it this way, because this is the way I look at it, Reesie. I've looked at this for a long, long time and studied scriptures and so on and so forth, but I'm also into some aspects of metaphysical concepts and philosophies. Okay. And there was going to reach a point in time where the collective consciousness garnered the last thought and tipped over and became available to everyone. This is what's happening.
The knowledge
everyone is realizing.
The age of Aquarius.
Yes, exactly, the age of Aquarius. Now, again, another oddity. I am a triple Aquarian.
Get out of here. How's that? How's triple?
I won't go into that. It's very bizarre. Okay. Yeah. But it takes too much of an explanation.
Right on. But you're right there. You're right there with the age.
Yeah. This
awesome.
is the time.
This is your time.
Right. Well, it's not my time.
You're fitting in with the time and doing your thing, and it's all good.
This is an obsession for me. This really is an obsession for me. My deal with the universe, I used to work for the United States government, and that's all I'm going to say.
Okay. And
it was intelligence related, and that means the alphabet soup family.
Right.
Okay. In the early 80s, I got to the point where I looked in the mirror and I didn't like that guy anymore. I didn't even know that guy anymore. I quit on threat of my life, and several attempts too.
Oh, wow.
I lost everything that I ever had because Uncle Sam made it disappear.
Right. Wow.
So that's where I started having my motivation to Look for a different way. And I made a deal with God and the universe. You tell me where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to do, and even if I argue, kick, scream, and drag my feet, I will do it. Well, I've been doing it for over 20 years now.
Bless your heart and thank you. Common sheeple cattle, thank you. Because we need some help, man.
There's lots of it out there. There really is lots of it out there. But, again, there are people that want to help in half steps or half measures.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
So.
Can't work that way.
Did you have any further questions, or do you want to open it up? Or?
Yeah, we can definitely open it up. My only last real question was, like what to expect, and I mean, other than the time frame, like you said,
no.
They might issue.
If you do a process wrong, in other words, if examples are perfected examples, if I give you an example on the A4V process or a modified A4V or even in the WOOFIT, these are tested true. The crash test dummies have passed. They're still alive.
Okay.
Okay, so we've done all the testing because I test every procedure before I put it out for public consumption or give it to people that I know may not be willing to put themselves in a precarious position. There are people that will get frivolous filing penalties if they do it wrong or they miss something, miss a step. It happens. Let me tell you what to do if you do get a frivolous filing. Accept it for value and send it back. What they're doing is they're testing you to see if you're going to be of the right mindset. They're paying themselves to do a job. That's what a frivolous filing is all about.
Now, does this apply too for the envelopes in terms of collecting that $300 and $600?
Yeah, but if you know about the rest of the stuff, why do you even bother with that?
Shoot, I got a few of them things. Shoot.
Well, yeah, you can, but once I explain the WOOFIT process to you, you're not even going to care about that little piddly amount.
Yeah, you might be right. Well, yeah, you are right. You are definitely right, because that WOOFIT is like, woo!
Well, the Cessna trust account is a bottomless pit. The DTC account, if you were to go in with your DTC card, say you want to collapse that trust, the DTC trust, $3.5 billion is what you would get when you collapse that trust. That's what they're going to give you, $3.5 billion. But you're also out of commerce. You're private, sovereign, completely private, sovereign individual who cannot interface in the trust commerce community. You're no longer able to function in commerce because of the sovereignty issue and the privacy real man issue. You have to set up minimum of 2 trusts to be able to interface with the commercial world because everything is contract law.
Right.
And the corporate fictions cannot interface with the real human. You see the dilemma?
Yeah, definitely. I can see where you have to have a trust in that case.
Right. So we utilize the...
So that could have been a solution for you to go back to.
Yeah, it could have been, but I didn't want to do that. I would rather... Well, I had no reason to. I have no debt.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, that's reason number one, the debt deal.
Yeah. Now, I also want to reiterate for the people that it doesn't matter what you A4V. You can A4V a mortgage. I don't care what it's worth. I myself, and I did this for a friend of mine in California. I'm not going to name names because he's a well-known individual. But I A4V'd $985,000 tax liability just last year. It went through in 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Was that his first one?
Yep.
2 weeks, and that's a recent example.
Yeah. Now,
Wow.
I have a more recent example.
Oh.
Another individual that I know really, really well, and he's also a member of my group, A4V'd his property taxes. It went through in 3 days. And it was only his second attempt. So don't be frightened.
Let me ask you something. Isn't this kind of like bailing out the government with all of this crap they've been doing with this money and all this?
Well, in a way it is,
like
because
out, isn't it?
Right. What we're doing by doing the A4V process or the modified A4V or using the WOOFIT is we're taking public debt away. We're canceling public debt.
We're taking debt away from that and using it again,
right.
like recycling it, right? Recycling the same debt.
Well, no. See, the concept is Federal Reserve notes comprise the public debt because they're private script. We're paying interest on those.
Right.
By using hard assets, even though it comes to them in the form and they can convert to FRNs, it reduces the overall public debt.
So this is a hard asset when we convert these presentments.
Right, yeah. Yeah, because see,
we're creating real money.
We're creating real money by our signature. Your signature is the only thing that can create real money. Yeah.
Okay, so the accepted for value is like infusing new money into circulation.
Right.
But no, that would be more debt, though.
No, you're infusing hard assets into a liability system, which cancels a portion of the liability itself. It's like matter, antimatter.
Even though they're converting it to FRNs, you still.
But they do that. Once it leaves the DTC or Fed, it's hard asset. If the bank converts it to a liability, that's their problem. That's their get.
So when they send that check or that wire, it's a hard asset.
It's considered a hard asset. It's a very fine line, but it is considered a hard asset.
Okay. So then they convert it to FRNs through the banking process.
Right. Yeah, the Fed does that.
I gotcha. Man, this is awesome, dude. What part of the country are you in anyway? East, west, north, what?
I'm south right now. I move around.
Oh, okay, right on.
But right now I'm working under the auspices of a corporate host.
Okay.
They provide me with they provide me with everything I need. If I need something, I give them a list.
That's awesome. That's the only way to live right there.
And it's not my corporation, so in case anybody gets the idea that I'm doing this for myself, no, I'm doing their paperwork. When I say I've canceled millions of dollars worth of debt, it's corporate debt. That's why they're willing, basically, to do whatever I want.
Hey, fair exchange is no robbery. Hey.
Exactly, and I'm not compromised because I only subsist. That's what I'm doing. It's sustaining my lifestyle, which is, as I've related to you, very Spartan.
Very simple, yeah. Yeah, Spartan, I like that word. Well, we definitely have gotten a lot covered tonight. I definitely want to open this up to any questions that anyone may have. I'm going to go ahead and unmute all users. Oh, I think everybody, okay, yeah, everyone's unmuted. So if anybody's got any questions that they'd like to chime in, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Anybody have any questions? You there? Okay, so we're going to leave it open for any questions that anybody may have.
Yeah, just throw them out there. Don't everybody throw them out at once.
Well,
I haven't put you all in a state of shock, I hope, because I know this topic very well.
Yeah, we might have been more middle of the road than virtual beginning. We kind of sprinkled it with the fundamental stuff. So
well, because I want people to know that there are advanced processes and it's getting better. Now, the one thing I did want to say, I told you there was a radical change recently at IRS level. Okay, I don't know how many people out there are familiar with a bill of exchange. You can Google bill of exchange if you want and get to.
Oops, I accidentally muted you.
I was muted there for a moment.
Yeah, that was me. Sorry about that.
Okay. Oh, you didn't want me to say that, huh? Okay, bill of exchange.
So the new changes.
Yeah, you can.
I've been
you can
studying that, so that's
Yeah, you can Google bill of exchange. Been around a long, long time, and bankers absolutely know what they are.
Now you need a letter of credit to do one, though. I'm figuring
No,
that
you
out.
don't. Not anymore.
Oh, you don't need. Oh.
This is the change. In the new Internal Revenue Manual, as of 1st of January this year, the IRS is now taking bills of exchange for tax liability. They have never, ever done this before, ever. And they're not.
The debt backs up the bill of exchange?
Yeah, well, I think what they've done is they've decided that they need some assistance. I don't want to say it's my group because there are other people that are using the WUPIT process.
Right.
But I've got 2,700 members that are actively involved in utilizing the WUPIT account in various ways and fashions. And we have basically, I think, inundated IRS to the point where they went, we need to do something different. We're now going to take a bill of exchange. Now, I'm going to kind of project why I think this is important. The A4V is known as a banker's acceptance.
Right.
Which is just a little short of a bill of exchange, because a bill of exchange, there actually is what they call the UNCITRAL Convention. That's the United Nations treaty that the U.S. is a signer to.
Yes.
There is a specific format for a bill of exchange under that treaty. The IRS has not specified the format for the bill of exchange. In other words, they're not mandating that it be under the UN treaty format.
Oh.
They made a bold statement, flat out.
Wow.
They've opened a new office at the same 1500 address on Pennsylvania Avenue at the UCC Trust Division office, specifically to handle the bills of exchange coming in. One office.
So what? You're just writing it against your exemption again with the bill of exchange?
Right. That's what they're doing. Is they're going, okay, we're just going to process this from the private side.
So you mean to tell me now you can go ahead and bill of exchange any debt without any pre-setup? Because up to this point they were saying you got to do this and do that, and you got to have these certain things in place before you go doing it. Right.
What we're hoping to force the IRS to do at some point in time, and I don't want to use the term force in such a way that you think we're going to go beat them up with a stick or something.
Yeah. No.
But if they're going, since they have already agreed and put in their manual that the bill of exchange is acceptable as a form of payment for their tax liability as they see it, we're also going to try to extend that acceptance level to all vendors and people that call themselves creditors.
Yeah, because if the IRS is a corporation, why can't all corporations?
Right, exactly. Why can't everybody do it? And they get immediate credit if they process it through their bank.
I was just, it's so funny that we're on this subject because I was just to the point in my research where I'm going, wait a minute, because between the mortgage extinguishing stuff and this stuff, it's like all financial. So I'm learning about all these different instruments and things of this nature, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, okay, so why can't, if the bank on a mortgage transaction is taking the note and depositing it in their own checking account?
No, it's not their checking account. No, it's not their checking account. That's where you're wrong.
Oh, it's somebody else's.
They open a demand deposit account in your name for you.
Oh, okay.
They have probably sold the promissory note before you ever signed it.
So they don't
deposit
it, they sell it. Well, they might be doing any one of a number of things with it.
Right, but usually the first thing that happens is they have you sign a promissory note at closing.
Right.
There's an attorney who instantly grabs it and goes in the back room and faxes it someplace to somebody who wants it. They've already been paid. But
yeah, we used to, we used to fax it to the lender. We did.
Right. Yeah.
We used to in some states were wet funding and dry funding states. Because I used to do these closings.
But was that actually the lender or was that a servicing organization? So you didn't know.
See, we don't know. We don't know.
Right.
But it wasn't all the time we faxed it. But what we did do is we had to make 3 certified copies of the deed of trust. We made 3 certified copies of the note, and we sent all of that back to the lender overnight.
And why do you
so they definitely wanted it quick.
Why do you need
So
3
they did
certified
something.
copies?
Yeah, we never did know or ask.
Right.
Never did.
Unfortunately,
But
a
title, being
lot of
a
people
closing
never did.
agent, yep. So we were certifying those
Yeah.
copies of the original, and they were taking them and doing their little counterfeit fraud
Right.
game with them.
And that's what, well, it's actually embezzlement under Title 18.
Oh, embezzling.
Yes.
Dang. Yep, that's what.
It's actually it's unlawful conversion. It's fraud in the inducement. There are a whole host of Title 18s. There's also piracy involved here because of the vessel concept. You know.
Right.
Admiralty. But
so much, man. So much. But so basically, then it wouldn't be necessarily accurate because I was thinking a promissory note based on the exemption and go deposit it. I mean, what's the big whoop?
Well, they can't do that. But see, again, now because under the UN treaty, there's also an international promissory note. Has to be written in a very specific fashion and has to be processed, or the maker has to be in one location and the receiver has to be in another one, which is also true of the IBOE, International Bill of Exchange. Right. But they specified, we're taking bills of exchange, but we are not taking promissory notes. See, but they did not specifically put down international.
Bill of exchange.
Right, or international promissory note. So what we're hoping to do is get to the point where we can get the Office of Management and Budget to issue a standard formatted form of bill of exchange.
That would be awesome. Well, so basically then what's stopping somebody from being able to use one, period?
Nothing, not anymore.
So basically, now that the IRS is accepting them, theoretically, we use them pretty much anywhere. Theoretically.
That's the point we're hoping to achieve, because unfortunately, there are an awful lot of bankers that don't even know about this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I called my bank. You know how they have the private banker. You know, like the rich people banking. It's really not private banking because I'm a national bank. I'm by my flesh and blood person. A person is a bank, or whether you say straw man or whichever way you want to put it. But I'm a private bank, just in myself.
True. That's true.
So why, as a private banker, can I not draft these instruments and have them be acknowledged by a banking system? I just don't get it.
You can. You can if you know how to enforce the rules.
Oh, it's all in the enforcement.
It's all the enforcement.
The law is only as good as its enforcement.
I have had banks take my promissory notes, my IOUs, my bills of exchange, my bonds, because I know how to make them take them.
So as a straight just deposit.
Right. Yeah, I can actually go down to certain banks that I have dealt with for a while, and I'll say, here's my promissory note. I want you to monetize it. They have no problem doing it.
That's what I want to try. I'm at the point right there.
Well, we might get into that. We might get into that.
That's where I'm at. I mean, because in my mind, I'm going, what is the big deal? I mean, really. I mean, if this exemption is worth money, in the parties, I grasp who's who, and I know who I am. Okay, so I know I'm a bank. I know how to draft the instrument. I know that there's 3 parties involved. You got the maker, the payer, and the whatever it is. You know, got the 3 parties. What is the problem? I got the account. You know, I'm just not grasping what's stopping it. I mean, if we know that there's no more legal way to pay debts, there's no more lawful money, all we have are these administrative remedies. A Federal Reserve note is a note.
It's a promissory. It's a promissory note, Reesie.
Exactly.
Look, take out a dollar bill, take out any denomination bill, and tell me how many signatures are on there.
I think it's 2, if I remember. Yep.
And then look and see who they are.
Yeah, I think one is the Secretary of the Treasury, and then the Treasurer of the United States.
Right. Now look at the names.
Aria.
One of them looks slightly Latin.
Greek
The treasurer of the United States is actually in Puerto Rico. There's what they call the Puerto Rican #1 trust. There's another one in Philippines. It's actually trust #2.
Philippines, our money goes far over there.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Paul O'Neill? He's still on this money.
That's an older bill.
That's an older bill, yeah. Man, that is something else. So that now who saw Rosario's name on this money? Nobody.
Because if you Google that name, you'd be so. And actually, I encourage people to do this. If you see a name on there, Google it. Find out who they are.
Yeah, who the hell is this? I gotta figure out what this name is though. It starts with a C, Cisnero or something. I can't read it good.
Yeah, that's probably Cisnero. Yeah, if it's Paul O'Neill, it's probably Cisnero.
Marion, I can't really see, but it's Rosario somebody was the treasurer.
Right. Now, another
Paul
thing,
O'Neill was the secretary. Also, but you know what? And that's obvious, too. Secretary of the Treasury. Well, where's everybody else at? You're the secretary.
Right. Exactly. That's just a secretary. Now, see, here's another oddity for people. The cabinet, the president elects or appoints his cabinet, true, when he comes into office.
Right.
There are 3 people that have to give up their citizenship to take the job.
I heard about this. And the president
who they are?
was one of them, wasn't he? The president did, didn't he? Didn't the president have to?
No, not the president.
Oh, no, he had to give up his job as lawyer. He had to get...
Right, he has to give up his bar card. Yeah, he has to give up his bar card. The Secretary of the Treasury, the Secretary of State, and the Attorney General.
Attorney General and Secretary of State?
Yes. They have to renounce, give up their U.S. citizenship, and work under the auspices of being a United Nations citizen. In other words, NWO, New World Order.
So that's Hillary and Holder?
Yeah. Eric.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said he had some things going on.
Eric has a lot of problems right now.
Yeah, I heard he got issues going on. But yeah, he been another quiet one. But he's usually quiet though, the Attorney General.
Well, yeah, they usually don't have much to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like
this whole staff's been kind of high profile though, because all this transparency supposedly in government that was promoted. You know, I was a delegate. I was an Obama delegate. An interesting factoid.
Okay.
But,
well, I have a problem. I have a problem with your delegate, but we won't go into that.
Well, no, it was a transformation I was actually making through the whole campaign process.
Okay.
I blogged about it on my blog, but it was definitely been a transition. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, because as far as I know, he's still got a court date in California before a former Marine, it's now a judge, on the 26th of this month. Yeah.
I was wondering how the sex trial was going to work out in Chicago.
Well, I think California might get him first because this you have to remember, this judge is an ex-Marine.
Oh man.
He knows what that oath of office.
What about Hillary's case? She had one too for her campaign fraud.
Oh, I know. Yeah, and that's
Clinton?
they're DOJ is trying to beat that one down. They're trying to beat all of them down, basically. But see, now here's another interesting fact for you people that think the government is actually government. I'm going to give you a citation to look up. 28 U.S.C. That's United States Code. 28 U.S.C., which is a judicial code. 3002 15A. I want you to look that up. It's going to tell you the first definition.
2815A?
Yeah, it's 3002 15A out of 28 U.S.C. And you can Google it. It'll come right up. I don't think they've hidden it yet. The first definition that comes up, the United States government is a corporation.
Oh, yeah. We're familiar with that one. Yeah.
Okay, now, how many people know that statutes and codes are corporate bylaws and they don't apply to nationals and state citizens?
There you go. Now, you know, that is, it's key, but the problem is they still got some dirt on the American national status somewhere.
Well, a little bit, but see, technically you're a state citizen anyway. See, if you notice, in a lot of cases, when you're dealing with government, they have a box someplace that says, "Are you a United States citizen?" There are three definitions. There are three definitions. Two of them you don't want to be.
Oh, man, look at that. I wasn't even aware of that part. I just knew it was something I didn't want to be.
Yeah. Not anymore. Not anymore.
So they got one that's we can stand under that gives us the clearance we need to do what we need to do.
Right. I was telling you about this document. I had this little summit this last couple of days, and I was telling you what we're coming up with. I think you're going to like what I see, and you're free to disseminate it wherever you want to once you get it. I'm doing the final draft on it now. This took 3 solid days to come up with, and we're calling it a Notice of Understanding, Intent, and Claim of Right. Now, I don't know how many people are familiar with Robert Menard, the Canadian, that's doing something very, very similar to what we're doing.
Yeah, we do it. We actually do those too.
Yeah. Well, this is our version with our understanding of what we're doing.
It's more of a commercially oriented version.
It very much. We are basically doing what the state should be doing, but as sovereign citizens. We're making our declarations, we're accepting the oath of office of the president, and we're making these public record on getnotice.info, so it's on the internet, so it's public record.
Is that a new like recording entity?
Yeah, getnotice.info is where you can publicly record your documents, and then all you have to do is send a link. Here it is, go look. But what we're talking about doing is getting this drafted up, and then just have a mass signing.
Oh, okay.
200,000, 300,000, 500,000, million people.
Awesome.
We're going to present it to the president and Eric Holder. It's going to be given to all of the congressmen and representatives. And we're saying, this is our demand. This is what we want. This is what we claim. This is who we are. And we're giving them 20 days to rebut with particularity whatever they have an objection to. And silence is acquiescence. If you don't rebut the affidavit, my declarations, you lose and must remain silent, and you've exhausted all of your administrative remedies.
That's an awesome plan.
This is what we do. This is what everybody should be working for.
Yeah, this is definitely why we've been brought together, because we're basically on the same page, just with not as many people.
Well, it was funny because when you first emailed me, the way I work, because I really maintain kind of a tight connection with what I think is, out there in the great beyond. And everything goes through my heart. It's like what is in metaphysics is called a tripartite flame, threefold flame.
Yeah.
Truth goes through the heart into the consciousness and into the moral being, the thought processes, so on and so forth. Whatever comes to me in the way I've learned to operate, this body, this being, this spirit, if it doesn't get through my heart, it's BS. Now, I don't need to explain that to anybody what that is. But when you emailed me and you posed this proposition, it had no problem going through. It was quick. I told you. It was a gut check.
You did.
Yeah. See, you think you're, I'm being added to your downline, whatever, I mean, I don't want to put that in a commercial sense, but.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm a tool. But at the same time, I'm adding your tools and your people and your contacts through my contact with you to my group of individuals.
Symbiotic.
Yeah, yeah.
With that.
See, so it's just one big support group.
Mutually beneficial. That's my
Mutually beneficial. Exactly.
That's what I'm about. That's so what I'm about. So I appreciate that because my intentions are definitely pure, and I know that there are those out there that you would just be amazed. It's like you did what and you said what first.
Yes, well.
Just totally manipulative and all that. So I can appreciate what you're saying and where you're coming from, and I do appreciate that. It means a lot to me actually, because there's a lot out there, a lot of negative forces out in that world that would try to paint us a different color.
Oh, they do.
Racially.
Oh, they do. Yes, they do.
And it gets tiring. It gets discouraging, and
it's intentional. It is very much intentional to wear you down, to make you lose your focus. If they can stress you out enough over things that they know are important, and economics being one of those, in the family, especially economics, if they can wear you down to where you don't have the energy or a support group behind you that can give you your commercial energy, you're beat. You're beat. You can't fight. You can't fight back. I mean, we think we have a problem with them trying to take the arms from the citizens, which they'll never do, ever.
Right. Thank God. Yeah, we need those.
But they do have an agenda, people. They really do. And it's not a happy prospect if we don't fight back. But we're fighting back from a legal perspective, and we're being honorable in expressing our intentions and our declarations. I don't want to do anything illegal. I don't do anything illegal.
That's what I tell people all the time. That is not the intent here.
No, everything is contract law. Understand that. Everything is contract law. If you don't stay in honor, they will destroy you. And they'll do it intentionally.
Yeah, I had a conversation today with a guy, and we were talking about that whole dynamic.
They have no problem probating the account. They have no problem probating the account.
Yeah, they'll do it for you.
Strawman's already dead, and once you're gone, they're going to do a 1099-A and acquire everything that's in your account because it's abandoned.
Man, this thing is so deep. It really amazing. This had to have come about over, obviously. Just, man, decades of tens of hundreds of years because it's so complex.
It is. It's very complex. But you have to understand too. And again, I want to reiterate, tell the whatever people are still on the line, if I haven't lost most of them.
They're still here.
Law, as we know it, statutes and codes are all based on the 10 Commandments, and they adhere to those very, very closely. Trust me, they do.
The law of the land.
The law of the land.
Can't do nothing with it. It is what it is. It's already.
It is what it is. So yeah, we're trying to get away from the democratic corporate entity that
So your stuff is based in true sovereignty as well. Then I wasn't.
Oh heck yeah, yeah! I want the republic back. And see, we're also dealing with issues like the citizens' grand juries and the assembly groups, where we're electing de jure republic representatives.
Yeah, I just connected with a guy out of Illinois. He's the de jure attorney general. Keith, I think is his name.
Livingway, yeah, I know Keith very well.
Yeah, we connected. I haven't spoken with him just yet, but I told him, what we had going on out here in Montana.
Okay, well, I'm just going to tell you, be a little cautious. There's a lot of ego there.
Ah, right on, right on.
Okay,
That's
Keith is very good, but there's another organization that he has a conflict with called OurSammy.org, and they're doing very much the same thing. I'm not sure whether you're familiar with HDR Bonds out of Washington.
Oh yeah. We got one of our people as a client with them.
Yeah, there's a little conflict between the two groups, and it's primarily based on somebody thinking they were slighted at once upon a time, or
see, we got to stick to the
something.
facts and the point at hand, which is what
Right,
we're trying to
right.
accomplish here. I mean, the sideshow stuff. I mean, because you know, when we tell people we're Gnostic Christians or whatever, they you know get this whole other thing going on. But it's like, you know what? That's really not relevant.
No,
you
it's
know,
not,
like,
because see,
you know, get over it.
I can say I'm Christian, but there are different definitions of that.
Exactly. What are there, like 5,000 sects of Christianity?
Right, exactly. Well, what type of Christian are you? You know, and
you know, the way I look at it is you have informed and not so informed, and it varies in degrees. And
right.
That's pretty much the bottom line.
So I want to incorporate, the spirituality aspect, and I even incorporate the metaphysical aspect, because you can talk to, and again, I don't want to lose people, but I have studied and researched this for a long, long time. And when I say connecting dots, you've got to go to the outer limits here. And I'm not talking about the old television program, or even the newer one for that matter. But talk to somebody that's in quantum mechanics or is into quantum physics, and ask them if there's a God.
I'll tell you, yeah.
They know.
They're working
know.
Out. They'll cop to that one.
Yeah. So.
Right.
It's
correct.
Yeah,
well, I know one thing. We've got a lot covered, and I know we're going to talk about a lot more. I appreciate you. I thank you so much for yielding yourself to us and jumping in here with us and doing this. It was greatly needed. And
I was happy to do it. Like I said, it was. I mean, I have had 2,700 people after me to do this for them, and I refused to do it.
Oh, man.
And I get one email from you, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, now's the time. I mean, that's actually what I heard. Now is the time.
Wow.
I don't argue that. I do not argue against that. Ever.
Wow. Hallelujah for that, man.
That's I don't know. Awesome. You got connections, girl. You got connections.
Well, hallelujah. Something's working, finally.
Yeah. You guys are doing something right.
Well, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. This whole Sovereign Church of Christ thing for me represents a serious life change in conjunction with, like I told you, I was a delegate. It was before this phase in my life that I was the delegate. It's like major, like who I am type change, like knowledge of self, awakening, the whole thing. And it was at this point in my life that, it was shared with me that the whole thing about money, and the fact that it's worthless, and then you start looking at the things people do for money and how they do it, and that money is the main drive. I've seen people around me and my family, things like that, where money is and it's like elusive money.
Yeah.
You're chasing it your whole life, and yet it's constantly eluding you. And I was so delivered by my newfound focus of strictly helping people, because I always wanted to help people, but it was always like, let me get this money so I can help people, and it was like the focus was completely upside down,
It
and
is.
now that I've converted my lifestyle to one where my focus is people, is truly helping people, and not so much focusing on the money. Yes, we need money to survive and things of that nature, and we communicate that, and we make that clear. We work on a donation basis, but that's not the focal point. I'm helping a guy right now with a foreclosure. He's giving me, $75, and this is the most arduous work I've had to go through. He's a co-representative of an estate.
Well, okay, you got the paperwork I sent you.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Definitely. That thing has gone viral too, by the way. I got that thing like 5 times.
I got it 20 times in the space of half an hour.
Ooh, what? Yeah, see, that thing is serious.
That is some serious stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna let you disseminate that information to your whatever contact group you're working with. So I'm not gonna go into that. But folks, if you get something that's related to an FBI complaint, you might want to pay attention.
Yeah, just maybe. It might slow you down a couple of notches. With FBI on it. So that's a good one, and that's something we're looking at too in terms of status, though, in terms of creating benefits and things of that nature.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
We're always looking at things in terms of approaching it from a sovereign standpoint and not a subject to standpoint.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
So
we
making
are
a
the sovereign kings and queens.
Right, and making an actual complaint may not be necessarily the approach you want to take from a personal standpoint.
No, I emailed you
want
that.
To put it out there.
Yeah, I emailed you that. I said, this, you send the proposed complaint to your lender first, addressing the issues that you've just become aware of and can validate that they're actually doing this. And I guarantee you they will come to the table begging forgiveness and checkbook in hand.
I know that's right, because they sure stole your money with that note. They sure took that thing and ran off with it. Matter of fact, by the time you get into the house, they done got paid about 3 times, you being the third. Your payment.
Yeah, it is.
Like, whoa.
Well, when you stop and think about the fractionalization process that everything goes through on its way to the Federal Reserve, and it has to go through a licensed SEC broker too, which you're probably aware of.
Oh yeah.
It's been monetized 10 times the face value.
Oh yeah, the fractional, They got to do that to get the money. Yeah, that's true. This thing is like, it's insidious, man.
It is. One of the and even now the courts are becoming aware. Finally,
yeah.
Finally,
God bless
as if they didn't know before.
Yeah, basically. That's my other phone ringing here. Sorry about that. But I will say this: we definitely have a lot to talk about in our future.
Well, that's okay.
There are going to be a lot of these conversations, as many as you're able to bear, and we're going to invite people, and whoever wants to take advantage. This can be the interactive portion of your whole outfit.
Well, like I said, I work with my group on the average of 14, 16 hours a day.
Yeah, you do put a lot of time in. Bless your heart, I noticed that, big time.
And like I said, I'm just adding you to my toolbox.
Whatever I can do, you just.
That's the way we have to treat it, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
You use the tools you can find.
Absolutely, and I yield myself to whatever the need is for the people, for the group.
Yeah,
the collective.
we gotta get the people oriented so they're turned around and they know who they are. So there's our focus. Understand who and what you are in this shell game that we play.
Yeah, you have to. The knowledge of self is key.
Right. Yeah.
That's what set me free, definitely. Just knowing there's a duality that I exist in every day, and you've been thinking you're one thing and you're really 2 things.
Or more.
Geez, God, don't even take me there. I'm trying to manage these 2. So, yeah, I just appreciate you getting us all straightened out here and blessing our working relationship. I look forward to it. Anybody that needs any of this type of assistance, definitely give us an email, commonlawmethod@gmail.com. I'm Reesie, the Realest, your host here on the Get Real Radio Experience. We thank you for joining us this evening. We definitely want to thank our guest here, Ralph, for coming and joining us tonight and giving us this insight that we so desperately needed to get clarified in terms of this accepted for value process. I just definitely want to reiterate to people that it is real. It does work. This man has been doing it for years, and it is not something to turn your nose up at. It is something that we've been provided as a remedy in this twisted way that this government is set up. Once we start learning who we are, this is one of the processes or remedies that we can tap into to get this deliverance that we need. And
exactly, that's what we need is deliverance. And I'm gonna tell you, Reesie, if you have people that address issues to you that you need assistance with, don't hesitate. Let me know.
Oh, thank you so much. I so appreciate you for that. I definitely look forward to whatever little time blocks you can make for me too, just on a general basis, or me plugging into whatever,
No, that's fine. No problem. You lurked around the edges of the group for a long time, and then you finally stepped up to the plate. So, where I'm at.
I felt like I had something valid to share at that juncture because I had done a lot of time in that process trying to figure it out from a professional background. Because there's not a lot of people that will come out of the profession, out of the corporatocracy, to the side of the people and start working the remedies. So I felt like one of those people. I started feeling more and more, I hate to say the word special, but I really started seeing the significance of all the time I spent working at those title companies. I was learning the game and didn't really know it. I didn't know I was learning such a valuable thing that would play such a big part at this point in my life later on. So I feel blessed.
I have to make an admission to you.
Okay.
I know my group members very, very well. Every one of them. They're all friends, and they're extended family, and that's the way I treat them. And if I have to slap their hands, I do that. If I have to wipe their noses, I do that. But amongst the members of the group, I have attorneys, I have priests, I have ministers, I have pastors, I have government employees clear up to the Department of Justice.
Wow.
IRS, security, Homeland Security, intelligence. They're everywhere. I have Pentagon members.
Whoa.
We support each other. And they don't like this any better than they do, or than we do. And they see the faults. They see the problems. They see the future issues. But they cannot step out of where they are and address the issues to their coworkers or bosses or superiors. So they do it.
Conflict of interest.
Right. Yeah. They do it here. They do it.
That's why I got kind of upset with one guy. I don't know if you noticed that thread I did, but it was like, hey, this is like sacred space for a lot of people here. Don't come with the adverse, scaring people stuff that's not even accurate. I don't go with that.
I will usually stop that very, very quickly when I see it. A lot of times I don't. Just as a for instance, while we've been on this call, I've received about 500 emails.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I'm amazed I was able to get through to you.
Well, I haven't even looked at them. I have a counter that tells me how many there are.
Whoa. Yeah, that group is banging, and you're in a bunch of them.
And we get on average about 20 members a day, new additions.
Really?
They come from everywhere. They come from everywhere. And I make them qualify when they request a membership. I make them qualify. Tell me who you are, what you do. You have to put a qualifying statement. And if I look at your email address, and I kind of check in with the guys upstairs, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if I have any doubts or any questions about where you're going or where you're coming from, or if you have an agenda, you'll get a private email from me.
Wow, that's good to know.
Explain
know you were policing it like that. That's good stuff.
Oh yeah. And I have moderators that watch as well. So, yeah,
this is sacred. This is sacred ground, man.
It is. We treat it that way. I mean, my group members have no problem telling me off if I step out of bounds.
That's good, though. That's a good thing.
Because it's fair. It's a group. It's a forum. It is. We're very, very active.
That's encouraging to know that you're like that, because not a lot of people in what we would call a leadership or quasi-leadership mode or whatever. They get that ego going, and it's like some knowledge and some people and
no, I can't. I won't do that. I won't let myself do that. I mean,
God bless you.
I've gotten to the point where if people want to pat me on the back, or they want to pat anybody on the back. I don't care who it is, not just me. Or they want to thank me, or they want to send kudos or whatever.
Yeah.
I tell them in the introduction, when they come sign up, they have to go read the introduction at the group's homepage. It says in there, don't do that. It's not necessary. We don't want it. We don't expect it. We don't even want to see it. Stick to the facts. If you want to thank somebody, do it privately. Do not do it. Do not waste the group's time.
Yeah, all that feedback and stuff.
Yeah, no, we don't have time for that. We're way too active for that.
Yeah, this is a very active group. And if you want to get the information on the group, we're not going to put it out there, like this, but just shoot me an email, commonlawmethod@gmail.com. We'll get you set up, answer any questions you have. If you're interested in having some assistance with the process, we will be working together to get you guys the assistance that you need. So we have a new teamwork, tag team thing going on here. So definitely any questions, comments, inquiries, forward those to us.
Yeah, complaints, criticisms, beefs, whatever. Yeah, we're open.
any and all of the above.
That's right. Yeah, because if people have a complaint, about the way I address myself or the way I address, your members or your callers, I want to know. I'm open. I'm open to change.
Well, that's encouraging in and of itself, because not a lot of people can say that, nor are they actually that way.
Well, I don't know it all. Everything's a learning stage. Everything is a learning stage. I'm of the belief that we're here for a purpose, and that's to learn to become as gods. Not be gods, but to become as gods. That means stewardship.
Yes.
And we tie sovereignty to that. This isn't our planet to rule, disrupt, destroy, whatever. We're stewards over the land. We're stewards over each other's spirit. And we better start learning to treat it like that and constantly bear in mind that you are addressing your brothers and sisters. I don't care where they come from, who they are, who they work for. They are your brothers and sisters.
That's right.
Have a little respect. It doesn't mean you can't spank their behind if they need it.
Yeah. Just keep it respectful. I mean, it's so simple. I mean, because once you get connected on that common thread, that common bond, it should all just flow from there, really.
Oh yeah. And it's fun when you do it. It really is. I have the time of my life interacting with people, because you can see when somebody's ready to make the change. They're ready for a transition. They're not sure whether it's going to be good or bad, and there's a natural trepidation stepping out of a comfort zone. But how do you progress unless you understand the difference between a mistake and a right choice? You have to have the understanding.
Exactly. That's why there's safety in a multitude of counselors, which is why I love this whole group thing.
Right, yeah.
It gives you so much reinforcement and support.
Yeah.
And,
it's not totally self-correcting, but it's close.
Yeah, it's very close, because there's so many people that are involved that are contributing.
Yeah.
Makes it totally valuable. I personally want to thank you. I didn't know that was actually your handiwork there, and so I thank you for doing it.
Oh yeah,
the sacrifices that you've made and just everything, because I know it hasn't been easy on you to be this deep into this. I just personally want to just thank you.
Well, thank you. I take it as it comes, and I try to do it gracefully. It is with humility that I accept whatever people proffer in the way of support. But at the same time, if you don't give it to me, I'm going to keep going anyway. I'm like a bull in a china shop when it comes to this.
I hear you, because we're the same way. Because you know what? It's like, if your neighbor is not free, how free are you?
Exactly.
Your neighbor, to a certain point, it gets to the point where they can be your enemy if they're not free and understanding who they are.
Yeah, or you have that jealousy or animosity or fear or whatever it is, and we don't need that. We don't need that. It's counterproductive. It does not go over well with me. And I will tell you to your face if you step over a line. And I can be very, very forceful when I need to be.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's got to be that way in this kind of arena because the devil's in the details, you know.
That's it, exactly. You've got to know where you're going.
Got to set them straight. Set them straight.
That's it. Yeah. Mindset.
Well, I want to thank you for this. Definitely.
Oh, you're entirely welcome. You're entirely welcome.
Yeah, I mean, whatever spiritual forces are working with us to make this thing happen, we thank you to all the benevolent energies out there.
Very much so. Grace be to God.
Yes, all day long. And I look forward to these conversations. I hope that we can plan some more of these in the future with some different topical twists.
Sure.
Turns so that we can get everybody up to snuff and informed, and even with the group, definitely if you want to put that out and incorporate some other people, whatever you want to do, I'm all for that.
Okay.
This info has to get out, and definitely to everybody that's listening live, I encourage you to download this audio. I've been researching this stuff for a minute, and definitely wanted to get a proper handle on it before engaging. And I'm definitely at the point of engagement at this point. But this is going to be a very good reference show. I've listened to a few, and we covered a lot of fundamentals. If you've been doing the research and been doing the reading, the things that we covered on this call tonight are definitely going to fill in some of your holes that you might have in the understanding.
Yeah, don't hesitate to
download.
Yeah, don't hesitate to do a little research on your own.
Just any keywords you heard us tonight, Google it. Google the keywords that you've heard, and it'll just open just a door of just massive information. It's amazing when you Google certain words what all you get. So definitely I encourage doing that. This internet has all kind of knowledge right at your fingertips. I love it. And then if you have any questions, comments, want to join the group, definitely you can send an email over to commonlawmethod@gmail.com. And, I can give you further instruction on how to do that, and you can get involved with the group and start learning some more, have access to documents. I love that feature. I finally learned how to email documents in there. So that's I was having a little trouble with that.
It depends on what you're using for an email client.
Yeah, I've realized that.
A lot of people have a problem with that. How do I do an attachment? Well, tell me what you're using, and I'll tell you why you can't, or how to do it.
That was a good. I really like that revelation because there was some stuff I wanted to share, some changes that I had done on that process. So I was able to put the documents up that I edited, so that was awesome. So you'll have access to documents, knowledgeable people, like you said, of very different walks of life and areas of knowledge and things of that nature. So there's a great resource of people there.
Oh, it's a tremendous resource. It really is.
Yeah, you've done an awesome work with that, brother. I'm going to tell you, that's a great group there.
Well, I want to thank you guys for accepting me into your homes and your minds and your hearts.
Absolutely. You are quite worthy of the distinction. And we're going to keep on doing this thing and keep on doing it. And we look forward to meeting you, seeing you one day, paying us a visit.
I like Montana.
Yeah, man, I'm starting to like it too. I never had been here before coming here now, and it's like sinking in.
Well, they call it God's country for a reason.
Hey, it's the treasure state. Didn't know
it
that
is.
Until I
Yes. No, and the people are marvelous. The people are marvelous.
These people have been so open and warm and inviting and just have opened their hearts and homes to us, and it has been a blessing. These people here are beautiful people. You get a couple of little idiots here and there, but the good people far outweigh the idiots.
Well, let me, I'm not making a proposition because I don't normally do that. Last time I did that, I got in trouble. If at some point in time in a not too distant future, assuming they don't hit my number on that red list I was talking about.
Right. Yeah, you and me both.
If you guys, can make arrangements or you want me to come up there, let me know.
Hey, done deal as far as I'm concerned.
Because like I said, when somebody said this is now and this is the time, and this is the person you interface with, being you, Reesie. understanding I live a very Spartan lifestyle. I don't make money at what I do. So, I don't travel everywhere unless I am sponsored. Somebody invites and I accept. So I don't charge anything either. Now that doesn't mean that, whoever's setting this up, may not have fees attendant to whatever. But yeah.
Whatever we do, it's going to be, like I said, I'm in the win-win, mutually beneficial and all of that. So however we do it, it's going to be done right.
A lot of times I'm happy if I got a bed to sleep in and a home cooked meal.
Hey, that's the easy part over here. That's
no. That's why I love the people up there in the North Country.
Yeah.
They're really hospitable. So, but I'm just saying, if it comes to the point in time where you guys, want some, private time.
It's coming.
Well,
It's here. Matter of fact, it's here. It's nothing but a word. We put it into existence right there. That's it.
All right. Well, I got to put it out to the universe because everything manifests its own time and in its own way. So.
Absolutely. And we've got quite a few listeners, so we want to definitely thank everybody for tuning in. This is a hot topic, hot subject. This is just the first of many conversations we're going to have. Definitely go back, listen to the archive, download this. This will be one for your reference books without a question. If you have any further questions, definitely shoot an email, commonlawmethod@gmail.com, and we will most certainly get you connected in whatever way you need to be connected or assisted. We want to definitely thank Brother Ralph here for joining us and, allowing one another into our respective worlds and getting this thing going. So thanks again, and if you can hit me with your information to Ralph on the email so that I can get at you by phone when necessary.
Oh, okay, sure.
If possible,
do
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And then,
do you
we
Skype?
Can go over,
do you Skype?
Yes.
My
Skype
my Skype is the same as my email.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not always on because I have tremendous demands on my time. But I will. Yeah, I'll send you my phone number. I'll send you my landline number. I don't use cell phones.
Awesome. Okay, right on.
I don't use cell phones. I don't like being tracked.
Yeah, we don't want to get microwaved one day.
Yeah, exactly.
In the head.
Okay.
Microwave to the head.
That's
cool.
It.
Well, thank you very much. They're saying many thanks, Ralph, from the chat room. They're grateful too. So I want to say that as well.
All are welcome. And if you have any private questions or dilemmas or whatever, or you just need some advice, route them through Reesie.
Yeah.
And we'll keep the contacts open.
Yes, we'll get you taken care of without a doubt.
Yep.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. We don't want to run everybody into the ground, but we will be back and get at us with any questions, listen to the archives, and we will talk to you guys on the next edition of the Get Real Radio Experience. I'm Reesie the Realist. Thank you all for joining us, and we will talk to you next time. Good evening.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.